Chapter 1. A broken body. Raditz was gasping for air, his back was against a cave wall, his hands pressed tightly against his abdomen. Though it didn't help much as a big hole was punched through him, making him paralyzed below the waist, it at least helped stop the pain just a little. Piccolo packs a mean punch. If I wasn't a Saiyan, I would be toast, gasped Raditz as he whispered with some effort. The new soul inhabiting Raditz had taken over him a while ago, his dead body to be precise. This was shortly after Raditz got punched through by Piccolo, Goku, and Gohan's combined might. Even if Piccolo's energy beam didn't hit his heart or lungs, it did blow a hole straight through him. Raditz had died shortly after because of the shockwave stopping his heart. No matter, Saiyans had worse and they survived. Vegeta survived a similar injury on Namek for quite some time without healing. Goku had worse before and survived just fine, thought Raditz. Thankfully, his soul taking over had restarted this body's heart. His lungs were mostly fine too, his wounds were burned close because of the high energy wave. So he wasn't bleeding out at least, he was safe for a while here. Thankfully the Z warriors had left his body alone and gave him a simple burial. Crawling out of the pit and cleaning out the dirt stuck in his gaping wound had been a chore. I need food. Without healing magic or senzu bean, this is quickest way for a Saiyan. Goku was completely destroyed in his fight against Piccolo. He was just fine after he ate. It's worth a shot, whispered Raditz. It hurt to speak, but he did it anyway. He had to keep his focus. He couldn't feel anything below his chest. The dark cave was dusty and dry. Any lesser man in his situation would have given up by now, but Raditz didn't, be it this body's inherent Saiyan pride, or the new soul's own willpower. He decided to go outside and find food. It was nighttime. Unless he made a lot of noise, nobody should find or sense him. They weren't specifically looking for him either. Original Raditz was not felt either until he had approached Goku. I can't walk, I need to fly. Thankfully I have for plenty of ki, a power level of 1300 before I got roasted, said Raditz as his body slowly floated up. He had his left hand pressed against his abdomen, with his right dangling aimlessly on the side. His figure slowly floated away. He was floating upright as he couldn't go flat anymore. He had all of Raditz's memories. He could use a basic flight technique like this in his sleep. I need to find some kind of giant beast. More meat I eat, the sooner I get the required nutrients to fix myself, thought Raditz as he floated to a nearby forest, and then kept floating up until he reached a good position above the trees. He pressed his right hand on the device attached to his ear and started to scan the forest. His spare scouter was beeping continuously and soon found a power level of 8. Asterisk beep asterisk. Asterisk beep asterisk. Asterisk beep asterisk. 8. Thought Raditz. That couldn't be a human, so it could only be a prehistoric beast. Knowing the jungle around these parts, it was the biggest possibility. The old Raditz had taken a passing look before choosing this place for battle, and that helped him make a decision quicker. It's a herbivore dinosaur, 6 times as big as me. Okay, this should be fine, whispered Raditz, as he floated up slowly and raised his finger. He didn't want to fire a ki blast as that would make a lot of noise, and he wasn't interested in doing that while being paralyzed. So he decided to try and fire a thin beam type attack. It wasn't something hard. Piccolo had 1, Frieza had 1, Tien had 1, Tao Pai Pai had 1, Master Shin had 1, and he could go on. But the main point was, just firing his energy in a beam wasn't that difficult for him as a Saiyan. It was the additional effects behind him that was the hard part. But I don't need anything extra at all. This is just fine for a power level 8, said Raditz, and his energy gathered on his pointer finger. Asterisk PSSST asterisk. A silent attack and a successful assassination. Raditz would have preferred to take his hunt elsewhere, but he didn't have the luxury to. He could barely move with his ki pushing for him. Carrying a body 6 times his size was not something he could even attempt right now. Thankfully the beast was alone, so he didn't have to look out for a group. His scouter made sure nobody was around the area, understanding that he quickly landed. Let's get this done. I don't have fire but I have ki. A tame amount should be enough to at least barbecue it, said Raditz. His body was now giving signals to eat. Even if his stomach was blow off from the top, he couldn't even eat food the usual way. His food pipe was no more. Raditz twisted his neck, got himself pumped up and started cleaning his hunt with his bare hands. Blasting away anything that could attract predators, he kept what he could eat, and used a weak continuous energy attack to cook his food. Asterisk SSSSSSH asterisk. After an hour-long session, an aroma started lingering, during which Raditz was leaning against a tree as he cooked from afar. This also made him more familiar with energy usage. Even if he had all the memories from first person, it was always good to experiment more. Seeing that his food was almost done, Raditz floated to it and started to tear apart the tender meat. Asterisk chew asterisk. He took his time and chewed it thoroughly, then spat out the food in his hands. Because he simply couldn't eat the normal way, he had to resort to using the bird technique, but more brutal. Taking the food, he stretched his hand to his stomach hole and found the burnt up and closed part of his stomach opening. Here goes nothing. Ah, that stings, said Raditz as he tore open his cauterized wound and did the job his food pipe was supposed to do. He paused for a while, and carefully felt his stomach. It was indeed doing its work just fine. He could feel it, at least the remaining portion of it, spring to action. And he knew this because he was a Saiyan. His stomach had the ability to digest very quickly. Saiyans could eat a mountain of food and not have a raised tummy. This was how. Huff, okay, I might just survive. No, I will definitely make it, no doubt about it, laughed Raditz as he finally relaxed. He was pretty tensed for quite a while now. Having a big old hole punched through his body wasn't fun. If this didn't work, he would have to resort to using his Uzuru form and try to rob Korin Tower. He wasn't sure if he could even do that, considering his paralyzed state. Okay, let's eat. As long as I don't die, I should survive. Xians are too tenacious for me to die now. This is how we get a Zenkai boost after all. Near-death state wasn't something fun, but Xians lived with it as a part of their lives. A near-death state includes everything from a hole in your chest to having the majority of your organs vaporized. But even from states like that, including any and all near-death states, Xians can get a power boost. As long as they somehow manage to survive, they will eventually heal and come back stronger than ever. This was what truly gave them their universal nickname of a warrior race, the ability to adapt to the environment. A Xian wouldn't stop until they were dead, and Raditz, he was now very much alive, and didn't plan to go down anytime soon. Okay, I need to create a shelter for myself. The cave I stayed in is too close to the battlefield, a bad choice should someone come to check. Raditz had by now made some preliminary plans for his eventual comeback. He only needed time and safety, and he had a pretty good idea on how to give himself maximum amount of both. Chapter 2 New Armor. For the entirety of next month, Raditz had done only two things, eat and sleep. His Xian biology had kicked in a while ago and his body had started to heal itself. His bones slowly grew back, his nerves reconnected, his organs reformed, and after a whole month of non-stop recovery, the giant hole in his abdomen was finally gone. Yup, don't feel a thing. I was feeling fine a week ago but decided to take it easy anyway, but it's no longer necessary. I am indeed completely healed, said Raditz as he walked towards the fireplace. During this month, he had found a cave behind a waterfall to live in. Well, found was a strong word. He has blasted a cave area behind a waterfall was the better wording, but who cares? He was here and he will stay here. Bending down, Raditz looked at the fireplace. There his armor was placed. The newly designed armor was still hot to the touch. Even if I healed from an impossible wound, my armor remained broken. Thankfully I could reforge it. A simple heat treatment and key blade cut gave me a pretty good shape. Raditz's armor was the old model. It had a lot of unnecessary parts like the plating covering his thighs, his wide shoulder pads and such. The armor material itself was capable of melting as it was a stretchable rubber-like substance. It was much stronger than that, but extreme heat could indeed reforge it. And reforge he did, taking out all the unnecessary parts. Raditz first fixed the hole in the stomach area, then changed to a better, more sleeker version of the armor. I based it off the armor worn by Broly in the new DBS movie. Mine is just a different color. After all, I can't control the original material's color, said Raditz, but that wasn't the only thing changed in his current choice of attire. His entire getup was like Broly's, from the armor design, to the black bodysuit, to the royal-looking fur attached to his waist. Everything Raditz was wearing currently had taken inspiration from Broly, but he didn't do this just because it looked good. No, it was done because this was the design researched by Frieza Army after they experimented for years in the future. The most practical design for a big guy like me. I am 6'3" with a well-balanced frame. It's good I somehow managed to cover my whole body in that stretchable clothing. Neither Goku nor Vegeta grew this big. His only reference was base Broly, so he went with it. As for how he managed to make his small underwear into a complete sleeveless bodysuit, that was also a question of materials. This was the same type of material used in his armor but thinner. That meant it was capable of expanding to great sizes whenever a Xian went Uzuru. Raditz capitalized on that and made himself a full coverage bodysuit. Alright, it isn't that hot to the touch anymore. It's almost warm. Time to get dressed. Raditz's hands went into the fire pit and he took out the armor, giving it one last look for any defects. Not finding any, Raditz took it over his head and got his arms into it. The new armor stretched and accommodated his muscular arms, and then it stretched some more as it covered his muscular chest. Asterisk snap asterisk. With a snap, it fit in place as it snugly covered his body once again, giving him full protection. Raditz after wearing this armor now looked exactly like DBS Broly, or how he would look if he had Super Saiyan 3 hair. But Raditz was a guy of immense stature. It wasn't only his height, but his highly muscular build. The Super Saiyan 3 hair suit him very well, instead of looking out of place. I want to see how I look now. This took a lot of effort, said Raditz as he walked out the opening of his cave. The immense pressure of the water crashing on him didn't bother him in the slightest. Walking through the water, he made his way away from the waterfall and to a place where the water was less disturbed. Bending down, he looked at his attire. I have brown instead of green, and black instead of purple. Otherwise everything is indeed as I remember it. This brown fur is also pretty good to keep warm in the cold, said Raditz as he bent down and washed his face, then took a deep breath and flew out of the water. Using his ki, he heated himself up, evaporating the water attached to his body, a nifty little trick he learned when barbecuing using his ki. I need to see what I can salvage from my spaceship. I only took out my spare scouter back then, and Gohan blew it to shreds. But there are bound to be things remaining. After all, it was a spaceship. It regularly traveled through outer space. It wasn't something that would be vaporized because Gohan rammed out his way. And he had two things in there he was sure would survive that attack. Raditz had 2 Saibaman seeds stocked up in there. He just never used them. They are a violent bunch, and are as strong as him, at 1,300. He was barely a match for one of them without going Uzuru. But even if original Raditz wasn't a match for these guys, his recent experience gave him a Zenkai boost. He was still weak enough to get them, and it pushed him from a power level of 1300 to a power level of 1500, a full 200 increase all at once. This might not sound like much to people who are used to bigger power levels, but this was power equaling 2 Master Roshi combined. Goku and Raditz were low-class warriors, they had to fight for every bit of power they got. But that's fine, I will fight if I need to, my potential is unlimited, I am a Saiyan. To Raditz, this was a good enough beginning. He can go right now, and trash every single warrior on Earth even without going Uzuro. It was all a matter of perspective. Even if he let Piccolo special beam cannon him again, he can take it without dying this time around. That was how big of a difference this power boost made to his current situation. It was only 1 month since his defeat. Most of the Z warriors didn't get strong enough to face even the regular him after a whole year of training. His current self would mop the floor with any of them. Asterisk whoosh asterisk. Raditz flew without any aura flame covering him, and he flew at a normal speed. He wasn't in any hurry. The upcoming Saiyans weren't even his problem to being with. If the Z fighters somehow lose, he would just join Vegeta and leave. Taking it easy, Raditz kept flying, and soon with his carefree flight, he came upon his spaceship remains. They were just as he remembered them, not disturbed by anyone. It's a good thing it was destroyed, or Bulma would have understood what these debris were and taken it away for research. Let's see, where is it? Said Raditz as he bent down and began searching the metal parts. Asterisk brush asterisk. Asterisk clink asterisk. Moving some more intact parts around, Raditz finally found the seeds. Buried in the dirt were 2 green beans. The 2 Saibaman seeds were safe and sound. Nice, I got 2 more helpers, said Raditz. He didn't have the exact chemical solution to activate them, but water should work just fine. Raditz now looked at the debris and decided to take them away. Telekinesis is definitely possible with Ki. Jitsu can do it, Frieza can do it, Vegeta did it at Namek, Goku can do it as well, but sadly I can't do it yet, so old-fashioned way it is. Smiled Raditz as he used his hands to collect the debris in one place, then flew up for a better view. He again found some which were scattered far away. After he collected all these in one place, he used a thin beam of Ki to cut a chunk of a mountain rock in a bowl shape. Putting it all in one place, he flew back, vaporizing the remainder of the rock the bowl shape was cut from, just to erase traces. Alright, time to see if I can fix this. Shouldn't be too hard. Even if I can't, there is Goku's and Nameless Namekian's spaceship as a reference. I should be able to do something. Whispered Raditz. His first desire after getting better wasn't revenge or something, it was getting the hell out of Earth. He was still a bad guy in everyone's eyes. Sure, these guys are very trusting and he can easily worm his way into their group. He was Goku's brother after all. But he would rather go to Mars. Saiyans can survive even in the harshest of conditions. Broly survived for years as a child in Vampa, a planet said to be completely inhospitable. As long as the air has some amount of breathable oxygen, Saiyans were good to go, so until Raditz was confident enough in beating anyone that might come in the current timeline, he would like to get the hell out of Earth. Chapter 3 Cabbage Head Raditz slowly flew back to his base of operations, his trusty waterfall cave mansion. Asterisk whoosh asterisk. Landing on the rocky floor, Raditz raised a cloud of dust behind him from his return. Looking at the huge stone bowl in his hands, he looked at the waterfall, then at the stone bowl in his hands again. Raditz murmured, I didn't think this through. Now he was in a bit of a pickle. He needed to travel through the water pool and the waterfall to get to his cave. But he had a whole bunch of electronics in his hands, exposed circuit boards and a bunch of unidentified parts. Going below a waterfall with a bull holding all that was a death sentence for the parts. What a hassle. Raditz scratched his head. If he had telekinesis this wouldn't matter. He can't go in unless he wanted to create another entrance to his cave, which he didn't want to. He liked it nicely hidden behind the waterfall. One entrance is much easier to guard than 2. Well, I am sure there is a better way, but let's just go the old-fashioned Saiyan way. Holding the stone bowl up with one hand, Raditz charged up an energy wave. Making sure to keep it to the minimum amount he figured was needed, he glanced at the river above creating the waterfall. HAAA. Purple energy blasted forth, the tranquil river water transitioned from cool liquid to boiling steam in a split second. Asterisk buoyancy asterisk. A huge amount of steam was released, making the whole area covered in fog. The waterfall, which flowed gracefully for centuries, was interrupted because of one creature's whims. Let's go. This waterfall was now but a steaming curtain for a few seconds, as gallons of water was evaporated, and using these few seconds Raditz rushed into his cave. Asterisk splash, asterisk. And within the very next instant, more river water came in form behind and recreated the waterfall again. Safe, wasn't that big of an energy blimp either. Hey, they can't sense all of my energy, much less such a little blimp. This reminds me, I need to learn how to hide my energy and sense it for that matter. Raditz thought as shook his head and his spiky mane was cleaned of any residual moisture. Asterisk boom asterisk. Putting the spaceship components down, Raditz sat back down, but didn't immediately start working on his spaceship. Sliding the bowl to a corner of his cave mansion, he took out 2 Saibaman seeds from his spandex. He had hidden them between his armor and his body. Saibaman, they range from anywhere between 10 to 1,300, depending on the soil and nutrition they can absorb when hatching. Raditz recounted what he knew about the Saibaman. Original Raditz had been doing missions his entire life. He knew a lot of information, everything needed to survive outer space. And Cyberman was a weapon widely used by Frieza Force, so knowing about that was pretty essential stuff. Looking at the two identical beans in his hand, Raditz pondered for a while, then took out his leather pouch containing water. Nappa had planted you guys in a literal barren mountainous land, and you still achieved 1,200. I wonder if you can go all the way up to 1,300 here. Raditz talked to the bean, as if it could hear him, then dug a hole near the place he usually buried parts he couldn't eat. This should make a good fertilizer for you. Alright, get ready for a drink. Smiling lightly, Raditz put a bit of his key in the seed, a mandatory step so that the hatched Cyberman listened to him. Spread asterisk. Then he gently covered the seed with soil and opened the leather pouch. Drip asterisk. Drip asterisk. Drip asterisk. Raditz started to slowly drip water. Cybermen were a species that originated from an arid desert planet, so too much water might actually kill them instead. Drip asterisk. When the fourth drop of fresh water fell, Raditz could see the mud beginning move, and then within the next few seconds a big cabbage slowly grew out of the mud. But the cabbage wasn't a cabbage, it was in fact, a head. Bush asterisk. The mud was spread apart and a Cyberman clawed his way out with a large grin on his face. Raditz nodded while carefully looking at the specimen. Yes, this one looks healthy. Let's see what power level you have. Beep asterisk. Beep asterisk. Beep asterisk. 1,300. Nice, you reached the maximum theoretical value your species can reach. Good for you, cabbage head, said Raditz, and the Cyberman only grinned and made weird voices. Gah. Raditz shook his head as he had a wry smile. What am I even doing? You are a plant, a simple defense mechanism. No matter what you look like, you don't even have a memory module, only inbuilt instincts to protect your host plant, said Raditz as the creature looked at Raditz for a while longer. Then its instinct took over and it started to move around the cave area, looking for anything that might harm Raditz. Because this wasn't where Cybermen were supposed to be in the first place, the whole thing was out of its natural living environment. Look at that. This is what happens if you bring a creature to a new environment, and this is a whole another planet altogether, Raditz said as he got up from his seat. He had half an hour more until his energy within the Cyberman starts to fade away, and the Cyberman takes him as an enemy and starts attacking. Come on, cabbage head. No, that's too long. I'll call you Kaba. Alright Kaba, come on buddy, we need to see what you are capable of. Kaba looked at Raditz with his red eyes and followed with a ferocious smile. Well, Raditz didn't blame it, because that was what it was supposed to do. Cybermen were only supposed to be activated by their parent trees when predators were nearby. That's right, Cybermen were just a kind of defense mechanism in one type of carnivorous plant. The Cybermen were biological machines modeled from the men of the species the plant fed on, wild stuff. It's okay Kaba, you don't have to worry your little cabbage head, you don't even have a memory module, only instincts, so everything is forgiven. Raditz patted Kaba's head with a reassuring tone, even if he didn't need to do it, but he would like to. Cybermen are for all intents and purposes, a natural biological robot, and he was the parent plant. Cybermen were the soldier ants protecting his ant king. That is their entire instinct, that is the type of life form they were. If they deem anything a threat to their parent plant, they would fight it to death. And if they can't fight it to death, they will sneak attack and blow themselves up, everything for a chance to take down the foe. Frieza army are a scary bunch, understanding how to use this creature for themselves, Raditz thought as he was now out of the cave with Kaba. Pointing towards the water curtain, he told Kaba, attack that, it's an enemy. Gaya, yelled the Cyberman ferociously. Its parent had identified a threat, and its job was now on. Gaya, Gawa, splash splish asterisk. The Cyberman used its three-finger claws to cut the water curtain again and again, but it was water so it failed miserably. Gaya, seeing the foe before him was very strong, the Cyberman was showing fear. This too was an instinctual thing, it didn't actually feel anything. The expressions on its face were also simulated, just to confuse the attacking foe into thinking the Cyberman guard was feeling fear. Raditz knew, if the enemy really took them for scared or dead, they would be in for a nasty surprise. Yamcha could attest to that. Well, I think I have seen enough. He's not using energy attacks, only thing Cybermen know is how to use ki to blow themselves up. Understood Raditz, that was enough data about his strength. Now he needed to make some more tests quickly, before his ki within the Cyberman runs out. And it starts to realize that Raditz indeed isn't its parent plant. The last thing Raditz wanted to do was fight Cabbage Head now. Chapter 4 Akari. It was nighttime now. Raditz had been checking the combat power of both Cybermen the whole day today. He also did a few experiments with their muscle and bone structure. Well, turns out, they are plant-like life form for a reason. They have a weakened version of Piccolo's regeneration, as in even if they have injuries, as long as they aren't dead and burrow into the ground with enough water and nutrition, they come back out with full health. How enviable. Water and sunlight are enough to survive and regenerate. Sighed Raditz. Sure, he had his own plus points as a Saiyan, but he was thinking of leaving Earth in favor of Mars. There he still has to get food somehow. Truly, the space is not a playground. The life that these guys lead isn't for the weak-minded. Raditz remembered the various adventures the old Raditz had, how many species he was ordered to extinguish. Raditz was the son of Jin and Bardock, both notorious for their loving nature when compared to other Saiyans. He being their son was also not someone with a truly evil heart, but conditions had forced Raditz to make himself tougher. He was him, he knew exactly how original Raditz felt. Ha, you did all you could to survive, you did well, but now I need to do better, or I might fall as well. Understanding his situation better with a travel down the memory lane, Raditz got up, he needed to practice. And there were many ways for a Xian to gain strength. The obvious one is Zenkai, but I can't exactly do that now, don't have a healer on standby, I will waste more time resting and healing than optimal. Walking out of the waterfall curtain, the cold air of the night gave him chills, didn't help that he was soaked in water. The second is trying to go Super Xian. I checked the tingling back method, didn't work in the slightest, maybe I simply don't have enough S cells. Shrugged Raditz, hey, that was a legitimate method, it might sound really dumb but didn't hurt to try. I could theoretically become a Super Xian god this instant, but I don't have a whole bunch of good-hearted Super Xians around me to help. Sucks for me. Laughed Raditz, but he wasn't disheartened, because he had one more trick up his sleeve. The last method he had available on hand that can push him straight to god-level strengths. The Uzuru transformation, more precisely Broly's version of its usage. He went from struggling against Super Xian Vegeta in base, to trashing Super Xian Blue Goku using it. Now this wasn't as absurd as one might think, neither was this something special to him as the legendary Xian. No, this technique worked in the same way turning Super Xian God worked. Vegeta and Goku turned gods compressing their energy many times, 7 to be exact. But Broly did the same 10 times. And exactly how did he achieve this? When a Xian goes Uzuru, two things happen. 1. Their size increase to gigantic proportions. 2. Their energy multiples by 10 times. Now if they don't have a tail, but have learned to trigger the Uzuru state by themselves, then the body wouldn't be able to grow big, but the 10 times boost will still happen, it'll just be trapped within the small body. Snapping his fingers, Raditz concluded. Effectively as a mortal achieving what the god ceremony does, compression, I can do this too. All I need to do is learn how to trigger my Uzuru without a moon. Broly could do it because he regularly went great ape on Vampa. That's why Goku and Vegeta slimmed down as gods, and Broly bulked up using his humanoid Uzuru. One had kept the same energy in a smaller vessel, one kept the same vessel for a larger reserve. Alright, there's a plan. Understanding his way forward, Raditz decided to start working from the very beginning. He was a lower-class warrior, they weren't taught how to use an artificial moon or how to control their Uzuru. Supposedly they couldn't do it, Raditz called bullshit. Goku showed throughout the series exactly what low-class warriors were capable of. If I need training, a whole bunch of training, so it. Raditz decided to go Uzuru. For the first time on this planet, he would unleash his Uzuru, the strongest being this planet had ever seen. But he would go slow, and look away as soon as he felt like he was starting to transform. He didn't want to lose his mind, nobody would be able to stop him. Huff, here goes nothing. Raditz looked at the sky with a question mark. Ugh, where's the moon? Meanwhile a wild Piccolo sneezed, wondering if Kami was bad-mouthing him again for blowing up the moon. Hey, he was innocent, Gohan was going great ape, he had to stop that somehow. Chapter 5. Pure heart Raditz grumbled and went back to sleep. He remembered Piccolo seems to have blown up the moon because Gohan went apeshit. No use crying over spilt milk, but looking at the damage the spaceship had taken, he wasn't sure it would travel space again. Sure, Raditz could try fixing it, referencing what the original Raditz had seen when getting his spacecraft worked on by Frisia Army's technicians, but making sure every part works, that was a bit of a stretch for Raditz. I am no Dr. Briefs, I can't do this, I can fix its shell again and make sure it flies, but making sure the navigation works too? That's beyond my capacity. Raditz murmured as he laid down. Alright, all his plans were a bust, but not entirely. Sure, he was stuck here now, and that meant Vegeta blowing up the Earth is game over for him too. And Piccolo blowing up the moon is also pretty damn bad, but that didn't mean Raditz was going to roll over and die. Alright, new plan, stay in a mountains zone for a while, behind thick rocks or dig a hole underground, that might just block majority of my key signature. Hey, Dr. Gero created Cell in such conditions isn't it? But nobody could sense anything, even as larva that was Cell, it should be way beyond regular animals. Raditz didn't know if this would work, but it was worth a shot. If it didn't work, well, he would just have to beat the crap out everyone. Nobody was even close to 1,500 here on Earth, at least not yet, only a month since his defeat. Okay, let's just sleep. Anyway, moon is only an image needed by my subconscious. Broly could trigger Great Ape as he pleased, even indoors, it showed that the transformation was trainable. This stuff is very much the anger of Super Saiyan transformation, but as you practice and get better, then you can trigger it as you please. Asterisk snore asterisk. Within a few more minutes, Raditz fell asleep. He was toiling away the whole day, he deserved some rest. The night went darker, and soon hours passed. Asterisk tweet asterisk. A bird call woke Raditz up, and he saw just outside the cave, on the rocky surface, birds were chirping and bathing themselves in the water. Is it time already? Rubbing his eyes, Raditz yawned with his arms raised, then twisted his body to get himself pumped up. Getting up from his straw bed, he made his way outside. But seeing him come out had the birds fly away quickly, Raditz smiled wryly but started to freshen up as well. Asterisk splash asterisk. After half an hour his daily needs were fulfilled, he even cleaned his amour, gotta keep what defends you safe. He also discovered something pretty cool, he could increase his armor's durability by infusion of his ki. He found that out recently, that made him understand why even when Vegeta lost his armor in the Xun saga, he could use the same armor again later, tanking hits from more powerful enemies. Cool stuff, Frieza army has a lot of useful tech, I want to learn this stuff. Should I go to Dr. Briefs? Or Dr. Omori? Maybe Dr. Gero? Wondered Raditz, but let that slide for now. Dr. Gero is elusive since the destruction of Red Ribbon Army. Dr. Briefs has Bulma around, and she has the Z-Fighters on call. Raditz wanted to avoid them if he could. That left Dr. Omori, but he was the scariest of the bunch. He too had someone form the underwear family with him. Bulma's sister Tights was on his island. And that's not all, the dude is the first person on Earth of make a time machine. It broke, but it can still stop time just fine. Raditz wasn't sure he could fight against a pause in reality. This wasn't Goldo's time stop, no, it was the universal reality stopping altogether. And Tights has connections with Galactic Patrol, they are quite literally a call away for her. No, this is a bad idea, so anywhere near East City is off limits. Making a decision, he decided to stop caring about future technology and started practicing Uzura. That's all he could do right now. And he had a plan on how to begin. If Krillin's bald head shining in the sun could make Goku's subconscious associate it with moon, I should be able to look into the sun's reflection on the water. If I squint a little, then it should be fine. Sitting down on the ground, Raditz relaxed, breathing in and out. He was about to try and control the rage of Uzura. He needed to be fully in control of his emotions. Here goes nothing. Looking at the reflection of sun shimmering in the clear water, Raditz kept mum. He didn't squint right away. He wanted to avoid any unnecessary distractions. And so he kept still, incredibly still. He only waited patiently. Asterisk tweet asterisk. Asterisk tweet asterisk. Asterisk tweet asterisk. Raditz didn't move even when the birds began to come back to him. He had been sitting still and becoming one with nature for quite a while now. The birds apparently felt that too, perching on top of his manly mane, landing on his shoulders, some even burrowed deep into his mane for protection. He was in a strange state, a part of nature. This wasn't original Raditz. Raditz right now was not affected by the negative emotions the original held. He had ki, a lot of pure ki. His session right now let him coincidentally get in tune with nature. Maybe if he tired, he could even do the spirit ball. He had the qualifications now. Asterisk thump asterisk. A loud heartbeat rang inside Raditz, then it stopped eerily, as if the calm before a storm. But Raditz heard it loud and clear, he could feel it. This was the precursor to Uzura transformation. His subconscious was starting to associate the image with moon, a really bright moon. Asterisk thump asterisk. The birds were startled, and began hopping around Raditz. The ones burrowed into his mane got out to check. Asterisk thump asterisk. Asterisk thump asterisk. Asterisk thump asterisk. Here it was, Raditz knew he was about to transform. He felt as if it was hard for him to keep conscious thought. It was still very much him though. So with sheer willpower, he closed his eyes. Asterisk thump asterisk. With a last loud heartbeat, his unease stopped. He wasn't going Uzuru anymore, and the birds felt that too. Hopping around him, they began to chirp happily. You guys, I am trying to concentrate here, said Raditz as he smiled wryly, and raised his hand in the air with his finger pointed up. No, he wasn't about to death beam the birds. Asterisk tweet asterisk. A bird got the signal and climbed up his finger and started to groom itself. Raditz meanwhile smiled with relief. While waiting for anything to happen, he managed to figure out how to sense ki. That's right, he was trying to feel his body and wanted to avoid harming the birds. This had a strange effect on him. Before he could even sense an opponent's power, he began to sense the ki of nature. It's everywhere. No wonder Goku's spirit ball had such strength. Grass, mountains, river, everything has such abundance of ki, pure ki. How wonderful. He could understand why the spirit ball had such a massive effect on an evil being. This pure of ki was bound to destroy corrupt ki. Maybe, this state can help me keep my sanity in Uzura sooner rather than later, murmured Raditz, and tried to get back to sensing what he did. This wasn't a one-and-done process, he had to work hard for this. Chapter 6, Unique Path. As the sun shone above him and noon was rolling in, Raditz was calmly sitting by the waterfall, his body towering over his temporary home. Why? Because he was no longer an average Sun warrior. No, he had ascended. He was now the legendary, super, monkey, every Sun's most primal form, the Uzuru, a completely calm and peaceful great ape, with no aura of malice on him, only an aura of tranquility and oneness with nature. Asterisk flatter asterisk. A large group of pterosaur flew around the armored Uzuru, seeming as tiny as the birds once did. But neither of these massive beasts did anything more than to flutter around him, perch on him, or guard his body from any and all threats. Nature was taking its course. Raditz had been training his great ape for a whole month now. He was now a constant presence in the ecosystem. Local animals had adapted to his presence. Asterisk squeak asterisk. A shrill pterosaur cry echoed in the area. This was a signal, the signal that meant the king beast was about to awaken. Asterisk ger asterisk. A low nasal growl escaped the great ape's throat, as its eyelids opened. Completely red eyes were behind the eyelids, but it held no malice. What is the matter? For you to gather around me? Gruffly spoke the great ape, but a booming more beastly aura was added to his original presence. Asterisk squeak asterisk. A bunch of pterosaur began squeaking and making noises, moving around their limbs and wings, but Raditz looked on and nodded a few times for good measure. Oh, I see, it's been 5 suns? Thank you for waking me up. I don't feel hungry, but what's to be done should be done. Asterisk squeak asterisk. Raditz was conversing with the pterosaurs like it was an everyday occasion, and that was indeed the case. He was in tune with nature, allowing him to connect with plants, animals, and the environment. His current state as a beast had given him something only a beast could truly understand. The title of King of the Beasts. For the animals around this forest, he ruled over them. His presence meant both safety and leadership. It was only natural. He was the strongest and most gentle beast. Bring it to me. My body should be at its peak now, and everyone, attack my tail with full force as usual. Vegeta and Nappa got rid of their tail's weakness. I can do it too. Raditz ordered the pterosaurs and they quickly sprung to action. When he took on his position as the king of the beasts, he himself wasn't completely sure what animals were trying to express. But he had done a lot this month. He as a Sun had a very good grasp of key-related things. It was in his genetics. After multiple weeks of observation, he managed to figure out the behavior of animals and nature from their key alone. That meant he could now do what the Goku could. Put his hand on someone's head and read their memories, current thoughts, even malice was something he could now feel. Asterisk stab asterisk. Asterisk slash asterisk. Asterisk tear asterisk. His tail was being ripped to shreds, at least that was the plan of the pterosaurs, but they couldn't hurt a single hair on his tail. All it did was train his resistance, but that's all he wanted to train. Asterisk shred asterisk. In his currently form, he was constantly at full power, locking all his ki inside of him kept him at 100% without tiring. Asterisk slash asterisk. Conserving life energy like this was the reason gods could sleep for centuries without food. Raditz didn't have their compressed ki, but he did manage to lock whatever he did have inside. Asterisk flutter asterisk. The remaining pterosaurs were finally back, carrying a large herbivore, and deposited it before their king ape. Good job. Asterisk zoom asterisk. Opening his mouth wide, a whitish blue energy was beginning to concentrate in his throat. Asterisk whoosh asterisk. And he fired his patent Uzuro mouth cannon. It was something each Uzuro instinctually knew. Even a baby-turned Uzuro could do this. Like Raditz always said, ki was in Sun's every fiber. Learning to do this as a human would have taken him a lot longer, he would presume. Asterisk sizzle asterisk. The mouth cannon was a special low-power version and its control was impeccable. Raditz managed to burn away non-edible parts and cooked the edible ones at correct temperature. It's little things like this that build up ki control. Even without this body's memories, it's possible to learn ki quickly. Suns are too good with it. When Raditz had taken over, this body was dead and original Raditz was long gone, so whatever memory he had was purely biological. When his soul revived the body, the previous memories stored in this body's brain were naturally inherited by him. Okay, it's done, time to eat. Picking up the sizzling meat, almost as big as half his body, Raditz began chowing down. When a Sun turned Uzuro and subsequently transformed back, they lose a lot of strength. Raditz had also experienced this, but he also knew the root cause behind this. My body expends 10 times my maximum energy, grows big then shrinks back down. All the mass I gain is lost, so is the ki making up that mass. This is what leaves me dead tired. That's why Raditz decided to do something different this time around. He simply stayed as an Uzuro and didn't transform back. This was an impossible feat for a regular Sun, as not only do they revert back without a moon, but not many can even keep their minds as Uzuro. Anyone attempting this would be dead from overexerting themselves, but Raditz managed to avoid that pitfall using his ingenuity. Every Uzuro when freshly transformed aren't at their best. Now that I have eaten and rested as an Uzuro, the 10 times energy I had to forcibly expel is restored. This is what Raditz was doing all this time. Even if he reverted back right now, he would only lose the 10 times boost. His base wouldn't be tired in the slightest. His body had long since taken nutrients and got back into its top shape again. And this did something extraordinary to him, something which only Goku would have done when he lost the God energy boost against Beerus. Just like Goku's body had adapted to the new boost in power and made it his own, my body is doing the same. Raditz had done something no Sun could do before, stay as a conscious Uzuro for a long time, fully mastering his current power. He ate and slept as an Uzuro. He was the Uzuro. He was not a forceful transformation anymore. He was fully in tune with his ki. This let my body adapt to its current power level of 15,000. Now as long as I transform back, my weak base would find itself severely lacking. Smirked Raditz. He took pride in his first power-up. Given enough time, my body would attempt to make up its lacking ki by itself, trying to push me back to what I am used to, just like Goku's body did after it got used to his power jump as a god. And this is what would push Raditz all the way up to 15,000 in base. After all, to his body, he had that power for a long time now. It was not a forceful boost, but his natural state. This will put him just under Vegeta at 18,000, and that was good enough for him. He had at least found a way forward, a unique path formed by the combination of Broly's Uzuro path and Goku's God path. Chapter 7 South City. It was the next day today, and Raditz's improvements had already begun. The continuous scouter beeps were the best proof of his change. Asterisk beep asterisk. Asterisk beep asterisk. Asterisk beep asterisk. 1,600, so a boost of 100. Reading the scouter results, Raditz murmured. This is when I purposely didn't train myself yesterday, so if I take this as my default and then deliberately push myself, my energy should rise sooner. Raditz only used the scouter to check his current power level in greater detail. He had already felt it before. In a few more months, even if he does nothing, he will reach it, his current maximum. But today Raditz wasn't interested in training. He in these 2 months had built up a general plan for himself. He was a Sun. His species sold planets for a living, so living in the wild was a normal thing for him. It's because they never truly settled in one place for long. Even our original homes in planet Vegeta were left to eat dust. That was the case for majority of the Suns. Murmured Raditz. He had thought a lot about this. He will eventually have to return to planet Earth for many things. If only to avoid Beerus coming for him one day while searching for the Super Sun God. If Beerus finds him lacking, he could just one-shot Raditz into space dust. And I can't leave now either. I am stuck here. Might even need to show myself before the Z fighters later, if only to make sure the planet isn't blown to bits by Vegeta, taking me out as well. Earth was certainly a place where everything always goes to shit. Even Majin Buu was buried here. But then again, if you were smart, it was also the safest place in the entire universe. The Z fighters will always revive you back. Will the Z fighters revive you if you were just some guy on another planet? No, of course not. But if you were one of their own, then they will travel space-time just to save you. So if I am to eventually settle here anyway, why would I live like a caveman? It was fine if this was one of the planets I was going to sell, but it's not. Raditz narrowed his eyes. He wasn't so dedicated to martial arts that he didn't know the meaning of quality of life. And he knew multiple ways to get himself that quality of life. For example, paying a personal visit to Mr. Satan. World Wrestling Champion? He had something to say about that title. He is a lucky guy, but his luck seems to be running low, or he wouldn't be the first on my list. Raditz laughed an eerie laugh. Mr. Satan, the biggest con man in Dragon Ball universe, even Monica doesn't stand a chance against his might. And this biggest con man was notoriously afraid of people like Raditz. After his master was killed in cold blood and he was left to die by mercenary Tao, he swore he wouldn't ever fight crazy strong people. Android 18 even managed to blackmail a large amount of money from him, all due to his sheer desire to avoid a fight against anyone out of the ordinary. Mark aka Mr. Satan, I am coming for you. Ha 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 ha. Raditz laughed loudly and walked out of the cave mansion. Satan's entire gig was built upon his ability to bullshit his way up. He took credit for things he didn't do, did every publicity stunt that might work. He was very much a master of making up a show. Satan somehow got rich selling Satan-branded goods. The man even managed to get the title of World Wrestling Champion before defeating Cell, and he milked that title for every cent. Having someone like that working for him would bring forth tremendous benefits to Raditz. Whoosh asterisk. Flying towards South City, Raditz began to try listen for any words about Satan Dojo, Mr. Satan, or anything in between. Many villages came and went, and finally Raditz was upon South City. Tap asterisk. Flying down, he decided to go on foot. He didn't want to come on the news so soon because someone had photographed him flying around. That would only create more trouble than it was worth. He cannot let his future manager know he was coming for him. Walking on foot, he seemed a little out of place in the city with his armor, the decorative fur, and his long spiky mane. Hey pal, you new here? A man smoking a cigarette on his bike asked Raditz as he was walking towards the city. I am. You wouldn't know where to find Mr. Satan now, would you? The man didn't reply, only took a puff of the cigarette and lightly took out a gun from each of his pocket. I do know, but if you don't give me all your stuff right now, I might just give you a one-time ticket to see a different kind of Satan. Raditz smiled ever so gently. He had sensed the man's desire to harm him the moment he was called out. But why fight, when he could join? Ha ha ha, good guns, but you aren't the only one packing that heat. Check out these guns. Raditz flexed his absurdly muscular arms to make his point crystal clear, and the man just twitched his lips. Listen here, jackass, you don't understand. No, it's you who doesn't understand. Allow me to demonstrate. Tap asterisk. Tap asterisk. Tap asterisk. Hey, don't come here. I'll shoot. Tap asterisk. Tap asterisk. I said don't come here. I'll really shoot. Tap asterisk. Bang asterisk. No, is that my bullet? You caught the bullet. Shit, stay away from me. Tap asterisk. Boom asterisk. Mercy mercy. Tzzzzzth asterisk. No, bash asterisk. It's not possible. Humans don't bend that way. How are you doing this? No, ryep asterisk. Boom asterisk. The people passing by the far reaches of the city weren't clear what these noises were all about. But they did see one thing. 2 men went towards the Satan Manor on a bike. One had a long spiky mane and a wild smirk. Another seemed to be trembling. Maybe he caught a cold. Must be fans as well, everyone thought, and left it at that. It would be later, when Raditz would have already become famous, that they would remember seeing him that day, regretful that they didn't ask for an autograph back then. Chapter 8. A Father Scale's mind was in shambles. He was doing his usual day job of robbing hillbillies, walking bags of money for a man with a gun. So what the hell is this? Why is such a monster bumping into me? Thought Scale as he trembled beneath his helmet. This was a bad day for him. Calling someone monster in their presence is a bad idea, especially if they are a monster. Did nobody teach you basic manners, Mr. Scale? Raditz's abrupt voice cut off Scale's internal monologue, and he was subconsciously about to admit mistake. Sorry bro, no. I didn't call you a monster. I didn't say anything. Scale's head was now beginning to sweat bullets. He was starting to realize something. He might have really messed up here. Didn't say anything out loud? Is that it? Raditz's hand rested on Scale's shoulder, giving it a slight squeeze, but Scale felt no encouragement from it. He felt only fear. Ha ha ha, I don't know what you mean, big brother. Stop kidding me. Ha ha. Scale attempted to play it off as drove his bike on the streets of South City. He really wanted this dude to be kidding. If not, and he was really doing what Scale thought he was doing, then you would be toast, yes. And before you make a mistake, Mr. Scale, selling out my news isn't going to be nearly as profitable as you think. Scale was now trembling and his teeth chattered beneath his helmet. He only drove because of the sheer fear he felt if he was to ever slow down. He didn't even mind Raditz's hand squeezing his shoulder. He was facing either a god or a devil. That sounds quite fitting. I am visiting Satan after all, ha 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 ha. Raditz's loud boisterous laugh was the final string that cut off Scale's sanity. He trembled and began to cry. Please let me go, big bro. It's my mistake. I shouldn't have tried to rob you. I can do anything. Just say the thing and I will do it, bro. Scale lived robbing people. He was very aware what to do when someone is about to one-shot you. If he was a fool, he wouldn't have survived this long in the pits of South City. An apology. Scale heard Raditz's tone and immediately understood. There it was. This was the thing that would save him. Yes? An apology? Anything you want, big brother. Raditz rubbed his chin. He was about to visit Satan Manor, so he didn't need anything material, but it's always good to have connections. An apology, is it? Heh, what you can give me indeed. What could Scale even give him, wondered Raditz. Whatever he wanted, he could just take it. He was for all intents and purposes beyond common sense for people here. All Raditz wanted of this man was taking him to Satan Manor, nothing more. Maybe a information agent is more of this man's forte? I need information, seeing as you were about to sell mine. You should understand the kind of information I want. Scale immediately widened his eyes, not with fear but excitement. This was his only gig outside of his robbery one. He was a seller of information. Standing all day without a thing to do helped him pay attention to the surroundings. You got it, big brother? Just say the thing you need, I'll get you hooked up in day. Scale said. This was his line of business, so he pretty confident about that. Turning a sharp point, they were beginning to enter an area filled with artificially planted trees. This was land of the rich. Satan lived here. I'll take your word for it. I need information on a man named Mercenary Tao. Do be careful with this. He is not as gentle as I am. To you we might as well be equally monstrous. Scale gulped. Okay, he should have expected this. Why would a man like this look for regular run-of-the-mill people? This mercenary guy must have some kind of feud with him. A feud of two equally strong monsters? Alright. Scale was excited and scared at the same time. I'll get it done, big bro, but if I need to be careful, it might need a little bit of time, said Scale, and he wasn't thinking of dipping either. Who would? He just became the personal informant of a godlike being. Wasn't this directly making sure he was safe and sound with Raditz as his backer? His first child was born recently. He wanted safety of life if possible. He was someone who had a fortune teller mom. She always said he would make it big one day. Maybe this was it. His chance. A backery? Alright, you can use my name, but it might not be so useful. Tell you what, I'll give you something, said Raditz, and he was on time too, as they had arrived near the Satan mansion, a huge mansion with multiple guards. So they parked a bit farther away from earshot range. Thuk asterisk. Putting his bike on standby mode, Scale looked at Raditz, ready to see what a man like that would give. Raditz felt around. They were standing with trees as their cover and no one was looking this way. So it was time to test a theory of his. I'll give you something that will make you a god amongst men. Of course, if you are to take it, you will be my messenger forever. I can always locate you no matter where you go. Scale gulped hard. On one hand was becoming a godlike being but having to forever work under someone, and on another hand was regular old life, but being unsure of safety. Was this something to consider? No, it wasn't. Bless me, mama. I am ready, Lord. Make your messenger, angel. Raditz twitched his eyes. Exaggeration is everywhere. Whatever, let's see if his theory holds up. Chapter 9, Satan Manor. Ha. Putting his palm in front of him, he made a grasping motion, as if he was holding an invisible ball. Nothing happened for a few seconds, but then Scale felt it. The surroundings were moving. Asterisk whoosh asterisk. A gust of wind blew, and Scale had a weird feeling, as if this gust was blowing for his big brother. That's insane. How is that possible? Asterisk spark asterisk. Scale's eyes widened. What was this? What is this? Is that? Scale asked, dumbfounded, but Raditz wasn't listening. He was attempting his first ever spirit ball. Certainly this might not even be the technique. He didn't know how to do it, but he knew how to make a ki blast, and he had learned how to call upon nature energy. Using that energy to create a ki blast, that was his version of spirit ball. Listen here, Scale. What you can see before you is the energy of this entire artificial forest. Having called forth any extra ki the nature could give without harming itself, Raditz stopped. He had a ball of 10 centimeters diameter in his hand, white glowing orb of energy. Showing it to Scale, Raditz took his hand and pointed it towards Scale's chest. This is a type of formless energy. Energy of multiple beings are added together seamless in this little ball. So Scale, being a part of nature too, should be able to accept this ki. Gaku himself took formless energy from every creature in existence, mountains, and rivers, but nothing rejected each other or cancelled each other out. So this should work. It wasn't that useful for Raditz himself, as he was already stronger than what he could call forth, but for people below him, this might just work. This. Can I do this? Raditz didn't say anything more, he only pushed it into the guy's chest. And it went in easily. Scale widened his eyes. What was this feeling? He felt so powerful. It worked. The rate at which it's evaporating is also very slow. This formless energy is something that exists in rocks and rivers too. If their inherent ki evaporated so easily, everything would have turned to dust long ago. Scale, try to tug a little on the heat you feel, and aim at the ground. Think of a laser as you do it. Scale once again gulped, but did as he was told. He aimed down and tugged on the energy equivalent to his pointer finger. Asterisk su asterisk. Asterisk whoosh asterisk. Raditz smiled seeing the burnt hole on the ground. The energy went straight through. This kind of ki is very easy to control, as it's the energy doing your job for you. It was called forth by Raditz to help after all. Big brother, what have I become? Am I now a superhero now? A supervillain? Raditz smiled as he looked towards the Satan Manor. Supervillain? Superhero? Maybe, maybe not. Patting Scale's shoulder, Raditz began moving towards the Satan Manor. As he went, his words floated to Scale. Remember, this isn't for squandering. The energy you can carry is limited. This is only an assurance so you don't die. Never act foolishly. Scale nodded. He knew this basic fact. A man like him can make him a superhuman, then he can make others one too. He would rather do what he was told to do. That would make sure he gets to keep his newfound superpowers. Oh yes, big brother, I forgot to tell you, going to meet Satan now might be a bit hard. His wife is dying. He never goes out of his house anymore. Raditz stopped for a second then left without saying anything. There was no place on Earth that can stop a Sun form coming in. Well, maybe the hyperbolic time chamber might stop him from coming out, but that was it. Alright Satan, time to meet your destiny in advance. I have just the plan to get big even without the cell games. Thanks to his buddies Vegeta and Nappa. Raditz narrowed his eyes as he made his way towards Satan's villa. His long mane was floating and starting to defy gravity as he approached. Chapter 10 It's a trick. Mark was drinking wine as he looked out his window. He was getting calls repeatedly for promotions but for the first time in his life, he wasn't in the mood to go out. He had to be strong, to not let Videl end up like him, drunk on fame. Asterisk thump asterisk. Mark looked out with a frown as he heard a thump, and almost crushed up the glass in his hand. Asterisk thump asterisk. Asterisk thump asterisk. Asterisk thump asterisk. A man emitting wildness was walking towards his front door. And the thumping sounds? What's happening? The guards are falling down. Did he poison them? Yes, that must be it. It's a trick. Mark's hands were shaking, because no matter how much he convinced himself, he understood looking at the exaggerated muscles on the beast of man. He might have messed with one of them again. Oh no. Mark's legs weren't moving. He wasn't feeling confident about this. He didn't want to face this hunk of muscle. Asterisk gulp asterisk. Quickly running up the wardrobe, he opened up a hidden compartment. Where is it? Where is it? Yes, I got it. Taking out his modified gun out the cupboard, Mark got some of his courage back. Asterisk bang asterisk. But all that immediately went out the window when a loud bang shook his door. Asterisk bang asterisk. His heart leapt up his throat as his legs became jelly. Oh no, he was here. Asterisk crack asterisk. The door handle cracked as a hand squeezed itself in. The hand was trying to find the lock as it wiggled slightly. Eeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeeee The door finally opened, not able to take the attempts on it anymore. Knock knock. Mark had to get it together now, or he would die. So he quickly straightened himself up, his baggy pants hid his trembling legs. And who are you, young man? A fan of mine? Gone was Mark, now it was Mr. Satan standing before the beast. I can do this, I am Mr. Satan. He might not be one of them, it must be a trick. But the man as if on Sue smirked as he fully opened the door and brought himself inside. I am afraid I might be one of them indeed, Mark. Oh no, I should call you Mr. Satan now. Asterisk click asterisk. Cracking his knuckles, he looked at the sweating Mr. Satan. You are the world champion? I have some issues with that. Let's get them sorted out. Raditz started to move inside and Satan finally couldn't take it. He knew he has indeed messed with one of those monster again. Don't come here. I am packing some serious heat. Ha 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 ha. The man's boisterous laugh wasn't helping Satan's heart, nor his aim. His shaking hand was going crazy. Asterisk bang asterisk. So he directly shot without another warning. No, I must have missed. Yes, I must have missed. Satan's stance broke. The man was still walking forward. No bullet in sight. Asterisk bang asterisk. No, that's a trick. You prepared an extra bullet? It's a trick. Satan's back was touching the wall as Raditz spit out the bullet he caught with his teeth. Asterisk step asterisk. Asterisk step asterisk. Asterisk step asterisk. Raditz was now standing before Satan, and from his trembling hands he simply took the gun for himself. A powerful weapon, indeed you pack heat. With a click he opened the gun up, and took every bullet out. Looks high quality. Do you want to try, Satan? No, I don't. Satan shook his head as fast as he could and Raditz narrowed his eyes. Oh, shame, can't let these go to waste. Before Satan's wide eyes and hanging mouth, Raditz took the bullets and put them all in his mouth. Asterisk chew asterisk. And began chewing as if it was candy, all the while maintaining eye contact. With every clink and clank Satan's sanity was going down. And then it finally happened. Asterisk boom, asterisk. Satan saw it. He swore he saw the man's eyes narrow as his cheeks lit up from the inside. High quality stuff indeed. Asterisk spit asterisk. Spitting out the used up remains, he dropped them all down one by one. Asterisk clink clank asterisk. Satan was about to hold the man's legs and start begging, but all his plans were immediately out of the window when he heard a voice. Honey, who is it? Sweetie, don't come in here. Satan's heart almost stopped as he saw a tired woman walk out. She obviously had high fever, but she still put on a gentle look for Satan. Oh my, I didn't know we had a guest. Please forgive my rudeness. Raditz turned to look at the woman. She was a carbon copy of Vidal with longer hair, but had the gentle nature which Vidal had after giving birth to Pan. You put on a good facade, but why ask if you saw it all happen? Said Raditz lightly. The woman pursed her lips and her thin fingers grabbed the hem of her robe. Yes, she saw it happen, but she couldn't sit still. Her dear would get killed if she didn't do anything. I am sorry. For anything Satan did to you, I am truly sorry. No honey. Satan's almost broke out when he saw his sick wife attempting to bow down. She was the only one who knew what kind of stuff he was, so she understood right away that this must be entirely Satan's fault. Save it. Raditz sighed as he stopped the woman from bowing. He was here for Satan, that was it. Just sit down, both of you, said Raditz as he raised his hand and both began floating up. It was a gentle force that held them up. Walking towards the couch, he deposited them side by side. They resisted the urge to gulp while Raditz himself took the main seat. Satan, before you decided to take the champion title for yourself, did you remember this? Raditz waved his tail back and forth and Satan shook as he racked his brains to remember. Come on brain, think. Honey found such a good opportunity for you, don't let it go to waste. Chapter 11 Satan family. Mr. Satan, after losing a whole bunch of his water content from all the sweating, finally remembered where he saw this thing. Are you the previous world champion, Gaku? Satan knew this tidbit because his managers had once thought of a gig where he would beat up an actor wearing a fake tail, as tail was something the previous world champion used to have, according to the old data they gathered. Satan was thankful that he didn't do this gig. He thought it was unnecessary. His presence alone would send this Gaku fella cowering back home. Gaku? Close but not quite. I am his older brother, Raditz, and I am much stronger than him. Satan remembered the old data that said Gaku blew up the whole arena and shivered. He always consoled himself saying it's all a trick. They buried something underneath to go boom and make a scene. But he had to take this seriously now. He was standing before someone more powerful than the guy who blew up the entire stage. Good, you understand your position, Satan. The title you hold is clearly not your own. How are you going to compensate me for this? Raditz said as he folded his arms and his tail went back behind his fur waist cloth. He usually hid it behind the fur covering for better concealment. I will give it you, Mr. Raditz. You can have my champion title. I'll announce it right away, Mr. Satan said as quickly as possible. He had much to care about right now, money he can make again. Raditz smiled at Satan and said lightly, that alone isn't enough. I am stronger than you. I can take it from you myself. Mr. Satan once again gave his chips. Money? I have all the money? You can have that too. Raditz laughed loudly at that and created an energy ball in his hands. It was glowing a soft purple. You see this, Satan? This here is enough to destroy the moon. I can travel space, Satan. I can burrow into the earth down to its core. Scattering the energy gathering in his palm, Raditz said lightly, in this world there is nothing out of my reach. That includes money. I used to take over planets and sell them, Satan. Your money doesn't matter to me. Satan and his wife shivered. Raditz used to take over planets and sell them? To whom? Are you an alien? Asked Satan's wife softly. This was such fascinating information. Raditz looked at her and nodded. Maybe, maybe not. You just need to know. Before I came here, I used to take over planets and sell them to the highest bidder, all alien. Looking at the fascinated face of Satan's wife, Raditz smiled. The universe is teeming with them. All kinds of creatures exist. Satan and his wife both nodded, Satan with fear and his wife with fascination. Raditz didn't speak anymore. He was only giving Satan time to figure out his sand here. Now that time is given, it was Satan's turn to speak. Mr. Raditz, then you can take everything I have. You can take it all. I'll do anything you want me to do. Satan now decided to give up everything he owned, even his own self. That was the practical maximum he can offer. He will come down to the streets, but that was a small price to pay. He was confident he will make it big again. Raditz tapped his seat and looked at Satan for a while. All the while the couple sat awaiting judgment. Finally, after what felt like hours to Satan, Raditz spoke. I see. Fine then, from now on you shall work for me. Even if you were to die, I'll pull your soul out of other world. You have my word. Raditz looked at Satan with his patent-seen smirk. He can't do this right away, but he really can do this later. Dragon balls aren't that hard for him to get. Satan's wife immediately held Satan's hand and turned pale. Are they about to sell their souls? Her husband was just called Satan. This soul selling and buying was something entirely new to them. Satan himself was a shivering mess and tried to smile it off, wondering if this was a joke, but every passing second he understood it wasn't. Mr. Raditz, can I take his place instead? Said Satan's wife with a small smile. She was about to die soon anyway, so she figured she was the best person to give her soul. No, honey, take me, take me. Satan's hesitation immediately went away as he scrambled to do what he figured was selling his soul. You know what, I have a better idea. I'll take everyone under my command equally, you, your wife and your daughter. No, please, Mr. Raditz. Both husband and wife were like ants on a stove, they almost scrambled to Raditz. Their daughter Vidal wasn't something they ever wanted to implicate. Raditz frowned, there might be a misunderstanding here. So he decided to take a look at what had them so scared, and was then speechless reading their thoughts. That was not the kind of deal he was speaking of. Sit down, you do not understand what I can give you, it is not something you want to refuse. Putting up his finger, he said clearly. First, whoever works for me will have my protection, you will always be safe unless I fall, even in death I can even pull your soul out of the other world. Satan's wife's eyes widened, so if she promised, can she live? Can she watch Vidal grow up? Not giving any chance for the couple to speak, Raditz raised another finger. Second, I only need Satan to work for me, but sooner or later, you and your family will die of old age, leaving Satan alone. My offer was only to keep you all together. Staring at the stunned duo, Raditz said lightly. Remember this, except Satan, neither of you bring anything I want to the table, but even so, I decided to give you an opportunity to show your talents. Now tell me, if you accept or not. Raditz stopped after clarifying the misunderstanding, and the couple looked at each other. Then Satan and his wife had a conversation with their eyes, something which Raditz heard anyway because he was just that awesome. Key for the win. Mr. Raditz, we accept. What do we have to do? I'll bring Vidal, she is in the bedroom, said Miguel. That was the name of Mark's wife. Looking at her, it was obvious where Vidal got her courage from. You don't need to do anything, as long as you accept, and don't betray, my promise will stay valid. Raditz said lightly, and they both nodded quickly. Betrayal? What a joke, no way they would do that to someone who can manipulate life and death. That's so, then welcome, you both are under my wing now. Satan, now we have some things to discuss, the world needs a new champion. Reaching a deal with the couple, Raditz started laying out his plans. Satan will use his mind and natural charisma to push Raditz up the path of fame. Raditz will be taking the place of world champion, the place which Satan held via deceit, and this time the world champion will actually hold his weight. Chapter 12. Moving in. Satan's wife was lying down on the bed and Raditz was standing beside her, looking down at her condition. He was about to try and heal her himself. Why waste a perfectly good Dragon Ball wish on something easy? He wasn't Oolong, Bulma, Frieza, and come to think of it the entire Z warrior gang. Be calm, it might sting a little, but after a while you should be fine. Raditz assured both the excited Miguel and her nervous husband. Now that they were working for him, he won't treat them badly. But maintaining a sense of mystery is a must. He will just use what he noticed in scale before, pumping her with nature energy. Spirits of the world, the sun, the moon, rivers, and oceans, please, lend me your strength. Raditz raised his hands and recited a random chant he made up. He didn't know Goku's call, but this worked fine. He was once again calling upon the world. This time clouds and ground was also within the consideration. Woo asterisk. Satan and his wife shivered. How was wind blowing indoors? And was that the smell of fresh flowers? How weird. Calm asterisk. With a humming sound, once again pure white energy began to gather on Raditz's hand. He had noticed this with scale before. This is a key which lingers. It is good for your body. Long-time contact might really help remove regular sickness. Of course that alone cannot heal her, but it will give the medicine she takes ample time to work as her body stays fresh and doesn't give up. Are you ready? Asked Raditz as he held a flaming white energy in his hand, and Miguel nodded a little excitedly. She was someone who was about to die until a few hours ago. Now she can live again, watch her daughter grow up and take care of her messy husband. She was beyond ready. All right, stay calm. Putting his hand above her, Raditz pushed the energy inside and watched it melt away. Miguel meanwhile felt amazing. She didn't feel this light since a long time ago. Honey, how are you? Asked Satan as he grabbed his wife's hand. She smiled back in return. I feel so good, I feel like I can sing again. Miguel bloomed. She was a singer before marrying Satan, but fell ill shortly after giving birth to Vidal. Now that she was fine again, she felt she can sing once more. Of course, this was only considered by her because she was now working under Raditz. She still remembers this. They are still not useful to him in any way, a burden, so she wanted to show her talents. Sing? Really, honey? You can sing again. Satan was also happy. Her beautiful voice and looks are what had attracted him in the first place. But he also remembered Raditz, and what he must do, so he began hatching one of his schemes. Mr. Raditz, we can hold a contest. I can sponsor the World Marital Arts Tournament. There we will create hype for you. Putting his hands together, he rubbed them nervously. If it's okay with you, boss, you can act with me and show a setup match. I am the world champion, so defeating me in a hot-blooded battle should be a good place to start. Satan said nervously, because what he was asking of Raditz was taking it easy to human levels and take some hits from him as well. But Raditz didn't mind. He nodded seriously. It's up to you. You are my manager. Do what you need to do. Setup or real, the end results are all that matters. Satan breathed a sigh of relief. He specialized in scamming people. That was his specialty, so he was really worried his boss wouldn't understand the reality of the situation. Now that his boss had given him free rein to go ham, he would go ham. You take him with you. He will support you in everything. Raditz took out a Cyberman seed and pumped it full of the remaining nature energy. Because this type of key lingers, Cyberman would always think of him as its parent plant. The key didn't have the dissipation within half an hour problem anymore. Got asterisk. The floor of Satan House broke open and a Cyberman drilled out when Raditz poured water from a nearby bottle on it. Wow, is this an alien? Asked Miguel, looking at the green alien with stars in her eyes. Raditz nodded with a smile. Yes, it is an alien. It's 130 times stronger than you, Satan. And it can blow itself up with enough force to take down a skyscraper. Satan gulped and looked at the green grinning Cyberman with a terrified look. Boss, what do I do with him? Raditz looked at the Cyberman and pointed to Satan. Follow his orders. A simple command, effective until he gives another command again, him being the top in the chain of command, Satan being below him. I can control him? He won't kill me, right? Asked Satan, very excited and nervous at getting an alien heavy hitter of his own. But he wasn't sure if the alien would be pissed at him ordering him around and kill him directly. Raditz shook his head and looked at Satan. Such tiny courage. This man was so not suitable for his position. No, you can ask the Cybermen to do anything you want, but they can only fight, not serve you drinks or something, so don't ask for a massage, it might crush you by mistake. Raditz warned and Satan immediately nodded. That's fine, that's totally fine. He had someone so strong with him now, and he listened to his every command. For a person like Satan, he could think of so many ways to make money and fame out of this. Boss Raditz, I have an idea. You might need to do some promotion videos. I'll get it prepared if you are alright with it. Raditz gave his permission and Satan gave his wife a big hug before running off to get everything prepared. He would have to make phone calls and so much more. Mr. Raditz, I can also help. I used to be a singer. Should I compose a song for you? I am sure my return would excite my old fans again, said Miguel with her hands joined together and her eyes smiling with her. Raditz also smiled back and gave a nod. Do what you are good at, as long as you work for the betterment of the cause, I don't mind. Miguel happily smiled. She was really happy her husband messed up this time around. His mess up actually brought something so good to the table. But then she remembered her daughter and she asked Raditz on what she had to do. Mr. Raditz, my daughter, what should she do? Raditz thought for a while. Videl was around Gohan's age, so she was now ready for marital arts training. The girl figured out Key pretty fast. She should have some potential worth exploring. While I haven't seen her face to face yet, I have already sensed her upstairs. She has more potential than her dad. See if she's interested in martial arts. Raditz gave his idea. Now it didn't matter to him much if or not she actually trained. She was no Krillin. Her potential was vastly limited compared to him. I see, I will ask her, Mr. Raditz. Miguel said. While she didn't want her baby girl to fight and get hurt, she knew better than to ignore Raditz's words. If Videl had potential, then it would be a waste to ignore that. If not, then she would just make Videl a singer like her. Videl was her carbon copy. Her voice was also trainable into something great. Mr. Raditz, I will show you your room. Please come with me, said Miguel as she took Raditz through the house. This was now his house after all. Raditz moving in was a given. Chapter 13 Fixing the Spaceship. Raditz was training in the underground floor of Satan's manor. It was a huge bunker-style basement capable of taking a nuclear attack or two. Satan had built this in case of an emergency. Raditz had moved around a lot of stuff here, and got himself a nice hyperbolic time chamber-like room, or course it was without the time dilation or supergravity. Ha! Raditz punched gracefully. His muscle mountain of a body was moving swiftly and efficiently. His muscles weren't for show and it showed. Each of his muscle fiber was built with efficiency in mind. That's a warrior race for you. HAAA. Kicking an imaginary opponent, Raditz kept practicing basic movements again and again, for that was the first step to forming instinct. He took Rashi's words pretty seriously. Rashi was one of the few who figured out the core of Ultra Instinct, just with sheer experience. It was all about moving with the opponent on instinct alone, and to do that, he needed to build that basic instinct into his body first. Asterisk whoosh asterisk. His leg cut the air as the atmosphere shimmered. He gracefully balanced himself back and immediately delivered another powerful punch. None of his movements were done purposely, all of it was done according to the invisible opponent before him. So cool, murmured Videl, who was sitting on the stairs with stars shining in her eyes, clapping in joy from time to time when Raditz showed a particularly swift movement. Each of Raditz's movements were done slowly, as he was only building instinct, so Videl could see every movement. If this was Raditz going full speed, only humans on the level of Krillin could barely see him. Huff. Letting out a breath, Raditz decided to stop his training for a while. He was going to take a break. Walking up to his towel, he began wiping his mane, removing any excess moisture settling in. So Videl, what brought you here? Asked Raditz, and Videl stood up sheepishly. Mr. Raditz, Mom told me not to disturb you, but I wanted to see you train. Sorry, muttered Videl. She was only getting started in her martial arts career, so she was curious about everything. And every move of Raditz had a natural symphony to it. He had started to dig out the warrior race's instinct day by day, and it was showing what good training direction can do to a Saiyan. Raditz didn't really care about Videl running out to see him train. He only smiled and chuckled a little. Turning to look at Videl, he spoke freely. It's okay, I don't really mind. Drying his mane with key, Raditz spoke again, putting the towel back in place. Just let me know before you come. You might even learn a thing or two then. I'll slow down for you. Videl nodded with a smile of her own and skipped away. She was going to ask her dad for training in Satan's School of Martial Arts first. Her dad told her that's where she should be. She was to be the next Satan, or devil in her case. Then she can fight against her Uncle Raditz too, it will be so much fun. Thank you Uncle Raditz. Came Vidal's fading voice and Raditz smiled softly. Uncle Raditz huh? Am I the Piccolo to Vidal? Haha. Laughing at the situation he found himself in, Raditz walked up to the corner of the training hall and took out a cloth covering something up. Flatter asterisk. Putting away the cloth, he glanced at the remains of his spaceship he brought back from the cave a few days ago. He had purchased a lot of technical manuals from Capsule Corporation, their top-of-the-line gear and workbench. He even watched how-to videos. Raditz was fully prepared to fix this bad boy up. Capsule Corporation even had a self-testing machine that could tell him exactly what was wrong. And this works for any component. Figures they had something like this, be it the Scouter, Cyanpod, or Android 16, the briefs figured out foreign tech way too fast. And this little tool right here was the culprit. As long as it had tech in it, you could check its defects. This marvelous gadget was Dr. Brief's work. It in fact even worked on biological things, but it isn't much use there as one can't really do anything even if they are told their bone is not dense at a particular point. That information becomes a moot point. Humans weren't machines that you could take apart and fix that density issue for optimum performance, but you could do that for technology. Alright, let's get started. I also need to update my Scouter. I jammed the signal components before to not alarm Vegeta and Frieza. Need to work on that too. Muttered Raditz as he sat and began working on his spaceship one part at a time, starting with the things he had to fix in this absolute mess. Fixing the shell, testing the components, removing any unnecessary parts and replacing it with better Capsule Corp technology. Believe it or not, there was even tech out there on Dr. Gero's name, not Android 16 level tech, no, it was Android 8 level technology. The most basic cyborg, and Goku's friend, Ater. This technology was being sold by Gero in exchange for funds. Red Ribbon Army was no more, so he had to make do. I don't need such a weak cyborg, but I do need its intelligence module design. I'll add it to my spaceship and Scouter alike. Raditz was ready to add real AI to his gadgets. He wasn't a man who didn't know the sheer potential of technology in Dragonball. Trunks' timeline was almost destroyed due to the androids, and he will use that technology to turn his spaceship into something fearsome. He had the how-to guides in his hands, the technology, and the time. He could do this. Chapter 14 Body Double Satan was back with a whole bunch of stuff, and put the full pile before Raditz, who was floating around the room watching TV with Vidal and her mom. While Raditz was watching TV, Vidal was completely seeing starts watching Raditz float. Satan meanwhile craned his back after a whole bunch of work, then looked at Raditz and rubbed his hands. Boss, I have set it up. The World Martial Arts Tournament is going to held again, and they have agreed to advertise for you. Raditz held the remote and turned off the TV. The whole family looked at Satan now. That was his cue to speak. Boss, these are all the scripts. We can choose some or do them all. Raditz raised his eyebrows and pointed to a random script. It started floating towards Raditz, much to the amusement of Vidal. Yes, Raditz had finally figured out how to do telekinesis. It took a while, but he was there now. What does this say? You want to know how I got my luscious locks? My hero hair is only from this shampoo. Looking at Satan, Raditz asked him with a dead look. The hell is this? Not giving Satan any chance to speak, he dropped the script down and took another. It says I was a scrawny boy like you, scared to even step foot outside the house. One day I saw it, the candy that changed my life. Asterisk crush asterisk. Crushing the script, Raditz resisted his anger and looked at Satan. I was scrawny boy? Me? Raditz? I am a proud Saiyan warrior. We learn to fight from birth. Satan, I hope these two are exceptions or a really bad joke. Satan trembled a little and wiped his sweat. Those two, I think they are the good ones. Raditz was feeling like blowing something up. His inherent Saiyan pride was fighting against his logical mind. But it didn't fight for long, because his logical mind joined his pride. To hell with this nonsense, I'll just blow up the tournament. I am not subjecting myself to such mockery. Raditz gritted his teeth. He was down with promotion, but he had an image to maintain here. Satan's wife also nodded at that, much to the frustration of Satan. Honey, Mr. Raditz is right. He cannot possibly do this. Why don't you find a promotion with class suitable for Mr. Raditz? Vidal also nodded her head and raised her fist up. Yes, Papa. Mr. Raditz is so strong, he could never be weak. Nodding to herself, Vidal convinced herself with her own words. Satan was the only one speechless. You are a pure newcomer, boss. Even if I have given my guarantee, not many would invest without testing the waters. Satan explained a little helplessly. After the tournament is over and you make it big, we can make as many changes as we want to the script. Raditz looked at him dead in the eyes. So what you're saying is I just have to do at least a few of these before the tournament. Satan fearfully nodded and Raditz became silent. Then as the tension rose and Satan became sweatier, Raditz finally sighed and rubbed his brows. Sigh, I understand. Before Satan processed that, Raditz spoke again. I am not doing it, but it will still be done. You are a pro at this, you will handle it for me, as my body double. Satan scratched his head. Boss, but I look nothing like you? I searched for a body double at first, but your hair is unique and so is your stature. We couldn't find a similar looking man. Raditz smiled and shook his finger. No, it's fine. I know exactly where to get someone who looks the same as me, talks the same as me, and is for all intents and purposes me. Satan's wife asked, intrigued. Oh, who is it? Do you have a twin brother? Raditz pointed at Satan. It's him. Satan looked at himself and so did his wife. His wife subconsciously shook her head. No, nothing alike. Boss, I don't think I can look like you. We are too different. I can't change that much with makeup. Raditz shook his head. No makeup is needed. I told you, you'll become me, in everything but power. Videl clapped her hands as she asked excitedly. Is it some cool alien technique? Raditz smiled at that and laid down on the air, hands folded behind his head. No, not an alien technique, but an Earth one. Tell me, Satan, have you ever heard of the Shapeshifting Academy? The Satan family shook their heads. That was new information to them. So Raditz clarified the details of this hidden school. That is the name of a school. The technique that is taught there is known as shapeshifting. Pointing towards Videl, Raditz explained. Take Videl for example. If she knew this technique, she can become anyone and anything, a pair of scissors, a fish, you Satan, or even me. He smiled at the cheering Videl who was imagining herself as a flying dragon and pointed out the crux of this technique. The best part is the scissors you can change into actually cuts, the fish can really breathe underwater, and the bird you transform into actually flies. Satan was agape. Such a technique existed on Earth? How did he not know about it? Then boss, can I transform into you and became, you know? Raditz smirked as he read Satan's mind. What? As strong as me? It doesn't work like that. You will gain my height, weight, even voice. The only thing that doesn't change is your strength. Pointing to Satan, Raditz said lightly. A perfect transformation can let you keep your new form indefinitely, so if you became a mouse, the mouse will be as strong as the human Satan. Did you get that? The Satan family nodded with intrigued expressions. Such a technique was too good to be unknown. But boss, where do we find this school? Raditz scratched his hair as he thought aloud. I don't know. I am not sure if they have acceptance criteria either, but I do know someone who can do this technique. Raditz, making a decision, got down on the ground as his boots make a thump sound. He then began walking out of the house. I'll be back in a while. I'll go find someone named Oolong. He should know where to find Poor. That's where I'll get my perfected shapeshifting technique. Videl and his mom both waved Raditz goodbye. Safe journey, said Videl's mom, and Raditz gave them all a thumbs up as he smoothly got on his bike. He would use this thing until he reached outside the city. Then it's scouter time. Oolong should be around the Z fighters somewhere. Chapter 15 Came House. Raditz flew towards a power level of 139 in particular, Rashi's power level. He wondered if he should show his face before the Z fighters immediately. He would certainly do that someday, but he wanted to have a clear goal for doing so. One good thing is he learned to hide his ki, so he could hide himself if he needed. Either way, Raditz decided to let situation decide this. They are a bunch of softies. Vegeta was taken in by Bulma, and they somehow managed to have a kid before Vegeta even got his redemption. Raditz shook his head at Bulma's and the Z fighters' actions. As long the opponent was strong and wasn't currently in the process of kicking their shit, they seemed to kind of let everyone go. Piccolo, Android 18, 17, 16, Vegeta, Majin Buu, each one of them was extremely dubious when the Z fighters had let them go. So what's stopping them from letting go of another Raditz? I bet they wouldn't care even if I kick their teeth in but leave afterwards. Raditz certainly wouldn't do that. He didn't want to be trapped by the hyperbolic time chamber somehow, and who knows what else they have in there. So his first destination was Kame House. He was currently above the ocean, flying at a regular rate. Asterisk beep asterisk. Asterisk beep asterisk. Asterisk beep asterisk. 139. That must be Rashi. And what is this? 3. Who's this with Rashi? It can't be Launch. She, at least in her blonde form, should be above a 5. Narrowing his eyes, Raditz kept flying. He was wondering if he will meet Oolong in here, or if that absurdly weak power level was Oolong. In the Kame House, Rashi was lying down and watching his TV. But it wasn't his usual exercise tapes anymore, because she had changed his lovely channel. Bulma, what brought you here? Said Rashi, as he scratched his head and looked at Bulma, who was scratching her hair with both hands. Ugh, where are those guys? I have something to tell them? Rashi had a questioning look to his eyes, but nobody could see it due to the sunglasses. What is it, Bulma? Bulma took out a scouter, Raditz's original scouter, from her pocket and put it on. I was working with this, so I had switched on its auto-detect function, and one day out of nowhere it showed 15,000. Rashi's voice cracked as he yelled. Yee. Bulma again scratched her hair. I know, I am at 3. You are only 139, Goku's brother was 1,500 and he was so strong, so who is this 15,000? Rashi finally became serious and sat upright with a thoughtful expression. But neither Rashi nor Bulma had a clue, so they remained silent, wondering if it was the one of the Syns set to arrive. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, I am your host and I am back. Asterisk cheers asterisk. Looking at the TV giving an advertisement on full volume, Rashi and Bulma just decided to watch that. Anyway, they couldn't find what was causing the scouter to pick up the signal. Yes, that is right, the World Martial Arts Tournament is going to be held again? After the previous tournament's disastrous end, it was all but cancelled, but one man made it all possible? Rashi nodded at the host's words. Bulma also remembered. Disaster? Wasn't the previous one where Goku blew up the entire arena to win against Piccolo? Yes, that was it. But Rashi didn't say anything because Bulma's question wasn't much of a question, it was more recounting. And folks, the gentleman who made this all possible is here with us today. The show wasn't live, it was a repeat telecast, but Bulma and Rashi didn't care. They wanted to get information about the World Martial Arts Tournament too. It was their gang's thing for a long time now. Please welcome, Mr. Raditz. Asterisk Hua, asterisk. R.A. Raditz? Rashi stumbled while sitting down and Bulma silently screamed in her head. Puny earthlings, I am Raditz, a proud warrior of the Sion. The Sioman? He is Raditz, a member of the Saiyamon team? The leader of the latest and greatest superhero team? Satan cut off Raditz's words immediately and took up the microphone himself, and began hyping up Raditz. He was Raditz's manager and he knew how to hype up a crowd. Any mistakes Raditz did he was twisting them to suit his needs. Saiyamon? No, he definitely said Sion, right? Bulma said as she gulped, and Rashi was calmly watching the show, gathering information. Understanding this was indeed Raditz, Rashi spoke slowly. It would seem so, Bulma. That man changed Raditz's words, Sion to Saiyamon. He's trying to cover up the mistake. Before Bulma could nod there came a disgruntled voice. The voice was right behind them. Not only that, it was eerily close to both of them. Hey, that wasn't a mistake. I was told to give an introduction. I did just that. Both Rashi and Bulma became stiff as they began trembling. Slowly turning their heads they looked behind them. Sitting right there between the two of them was Raditz. Raditz? Bulma and Rashi immediately screamed. Rashi was a little better than Bulma, as Raditz saw the old man's muscles tightening. Bulma straight up wanted to crawl away, but didn't have the guts to even move. Yes, Raditz, you're Goku's brother, the one who you left for dead. Raditz narrowed his eyes and his power level of 2000 was unleashed. Rashi could sense it and was very much not looking forward to a fight. Bulma couldn't sense anything but she could feel a pressure and she only looked at Raditz sitting there with an evil smirk. We didn't kill you? That wasn't us, said Bulma, as always getting her courage back immediately. It was all of you, and you cockroach woman. You even looted my body, took my scouter as I was dying. Bulma, even if very afraid of the fact that Raditz was alive when she got the scouter, concentrated on a completely different thing. Hey, I am not Goku's wife? I am still single. He is asking me if I am single? Does he like me? Come to think of it, he is pretty handsome. Oh, do I say yes? Rashi looked at Bulma speechlessly hearing her words and Raditz looked at her dryly hearing her internal thoughts. That was Bulma for you. Danger was but a fatal temptation to her, at least before she had settled down. Oh, he is looking at me? He is no longer angry. Is he checking me out? Bulma, he could be the one? Now Raditz was truly speechless. What was going on in this girl's mind? And it wasn't like she was hiding her thoughts either. Her eyes were showing her shyness very obviously. Brothers partners are certainly unique. Yes, she is a bit out there. Rashi and Raditz both nodded to each other, while Bulma remained in a world of her own. Want to watch your advert? Rashi asked Raditz. Fine, it was hard to film. Raditz agreed after 2 seconds. Hey, I am still here? Bulma finally got pissed at being ignored and Rashi snatching away the attention of her potential date, so joined in as well. Sitting beside Raditz silently as if nobody could guess her obvious intentions. Whatever I had in mind while coming here, was definitely not this, thought Raditz. He kind of understood why enemies end up becoming friends with the Z-fighters. This atmosphere, it was good to be a part of. Chapter 16 Master. After the advert was over, Rashi closed the TV. So what brought you here, Raditz? I hate to tell you but Goku really died back then. Raditz scoffed at that and folded his arms. I can tell, his power level has disappeared, but I am not here for that. I was here to eliminate you all. Bulma immediately felt terrified but Rashi was calm, because Raditz was only saying it and obviously not in the mood to do anything. Putting his hands on top of his knees, Rashi asked Raditz. So, what made you give up? Bulma again breathed a sigh of relief. She didn't know how the old man knew he wouldn't do anything. But she didn't care at all. All she cared about was if or not she has a chance, and if not she will just create the chance herself. Raditz meanwhile grabbed his chin and pondered. Don't know, don't feel like it. Maybe brother ready to kill me for you guys made me remember the old days. Maybe not, who's to say? Raditz spoke. He certainly wasn't about to start saying I know the future and act all coy to get some praise. That was a fool's endeavor. It required high amounts of plot armor to survive that kind of brainless behavior. Plot armor Raditz wasn't sure he had now. The previous Raditz might have cancelled the dragon's wish by dying to Goku. Oh, Raditz, what old days? What are you talking about? Bulma asked, skirting closer to Raditz, with a permanent shy expression on her face. Raditz twitched his eyes. He knew exactly how Bulma could get. The old days. The days of planet Vegeta. Father, mother, brother, everyone is dead, only I remain. Raditz sighed. Bulma felt the pain in Raditz's voice and touched his hands. It's fine. We have Dragon Balls. We can revive people, remember? At least Goku won't stay dead. I don't know if Shenron can work on another planet though, said Bulma, attempting to close the distance between her and Raditz as fast as possible. But Raditz was actually interested in this proposition. He wasn't sure of Bardock's fate. In some cases he was sent back to past, in some he died, in some he was controlled. If Raditz had to guess, it would be Bardock was dead. The base canon material had such implications, so that was his go-to for now. Reviving her. That would be nice. Bulma was it. I thank you. If you ever get the chance to revive them, remember, my mother's name is Jin, my father's name is Bardock. Raditz put his hand on his chest and gave her the galactic salute, which Bulma grinned and accepted immediately. Flicking her hair back, she decided to revive them the first chance she gets. What better gift to give her possible in-laws and crush than this? Raditz, are you also going to fight against the Syuns? Asked Rashi, who was curious about this. If Raditz was to join in, their chances would increase. He was ready to show him the way to the lookout, so Raditz can also get some training in. Nappa and Vegeta? I might, but I can't right now. They aren't as easy to talk to as I am. Their power levels are high, 4,000 and 18,000. Raditz said. He would certainly participate in the fight, but he wasn't going to charge in recklessly. He had his own path, following canon, or something only happens in fantasy. His mere presence had already changed canon. People might take a completely different decision because they met him. Maybe a random ki blast might kill Jero accidentally. So many things can happen that trying to follow canon was insanity. I see. If you don't mind, you can go to the Korin Tower. Kami stays there. Earth's best fighters are training there to fight against the Syuns, said Rashi, giving Raditz the chance, and Bulma immediately acted as if her tail was stepped on. Hey old man, aren't you guys enough for the Syuns? Why are you always pulling others to train all the time? Bulma hated how each and every friend of hers was a training maniac. Sure, she has definitely gotten used to it nowadays. But Raditz would leave if he was to train, and who knows how long he will stay out. Raditz thought about it for a while and gave his reply. Nah, I am good old man, but I would like to get some experience from you. Rashi raised his eyebrows and laughed. Hehe, me? Are you sure you would give up Kami for me? You know I am weaker than him. Raditz smiled. Yeah, he certainly was, but that was by choice. In ROF the author stated clearly that Rashi could have always gotten strong if he just put his mind to it, and after that we see Rashi kicking Frieza soldiers left and right. The old man then took a step further and became the only mortal known to exist who understood the principles of Ultra Instinct by himself. Raditz would pick Rashi over Kami any day of the week. I am sure. Can you sit still for a while please? I can learn a bit quicker that way, said Raditz and put his hand on top of Rashi's head. Rashi didn't dodge, he let Raditz do what he wanted. He knew each individual had their own style and techniques. If this is something that helped Raditz train, so be it. Raditz meanwhile was looking through Rashi's marital arts experience. The old man is a few centuries old, there is too much information. Raditz thought, he had to put his hand on Rashi's head to really dive in there. He was currently substituting himself in Rashi's fighting experience. He was living the experience in first person, for maximum effect. Selective mind reading was a quick job, but Raditz still took a few minutes to go through the multiple centuries worth of fighting experience. Ha, I am done old man, you up for a fight? Rashi rubbed his head and nodded with a smile. He understood Raditz somehow learned what he could teach in a quick way, and now wanted to fight to understand the techniques for himself. Rashi didn't care. He got up with his hands behind his back. All right, let's go. Raditz nodded and walked with Rashi. Bulma followed along as well. Raditz was ready to change his plans for a bit. He would quickly search for Oolong, set up Satan as him and come back to train with Rashi. It beats training by himself in Satan manner, and Rashi has plenty of techniques he wanted to practice too, like the Mayfuba. Chapter 17 Flying Monkey. Rashi and Raditz walked out of the house and into the yard. The ocean-smelling air was reaching their nostrils. Rashi went over and told Turtle to move. Meanwhile Raditz was looking around the island with his tail taken out. Bulma looked at that and flinched. She remembered what used to happen to Goku when he had that thing. Thankfully there isn't a moon right now, murmured Bulma, and Raditz hearing that turned towards her. Moon? Oh, I see. You are worried about me transforming? Understanding Raditz heard her, Bulma laughed with an embarrassed expression on her face, and then waved her hands in front of her. No, I am sure you can control yourself not to look at the moon even if it was there. Raditz raised his eyebrows, and Rashi was also back by then. He too spoke as he was coming towards them. I remember that day, I had Goku trapped. He was about to lose, but then he looked at the moon and transformed. Staring at Raditz with his eyes ever hidden behind his sunglasses, Rashi said, I had to go full power to blow up the moon that day, or we would have been toast. I don't think I can do that in your case before you finish us all. Raditz folded his hands and looked at the both of them. Is this why you people cut brother's tail? Rashi nodded and recounted what he heard Goku say. Goku told me Kami cut it off and then stopped it from regrowing. Raditz patted his face as he sighed, leaving Bulma and Rashi wondering why. He shook his head and told them both with a wry smile. That is a bad idea. It is a part of our Syun physique. You have effectively limited brother in what he can achieve. Taking a stance, Raditz became serious. Our transformation is not something to be suppressed, it is something which can be controlled. Like this? Gruel. Bulma immediately had her memories of Goku destroying Pilaf Castle flash before eyes and ran screaming behind Master Rashi, who also had his lips twitch, wondering how Raditz went ahead and transformed even without a moon. Ruoor. The transformation was completed and the Uzuru roared towards the sky. The gigantic red eyes then looked down at the two of them. Then silence was upon the field for a few seconds before Bulma spoke. Raditz, are you okay? The great ape's mouth twitched into a smirk, his predatory teeth showing. Certainly, and this is something brother could also have done if you guys weren't so hell-bent on cutting off his body parts, scoffed the Uzuru as his deep voice rumbled throughout the island. But this reply made Bulma let go of any fear she had before. Coming out from behind Rashi, she walked up to Raditz and touched his massive legs. Wow, Raditz, can you pick me up? I always wondered how it looked from up there. I could never ask Goku because he wanted to kill us all whenever he transformed. Raditz smiled. He didn't mind giving the girl a ride. Anyway, he wanted Rashi to see his power as well before they fought. He was fighting not only to take the experience he had and match it with his body but also to discuss, learn, and perfect his powers. So a little show of power was fine before the master. Taking his hand to Bulma, he opened his palm wide and kept it down. Your hand is so big, it's even bigger than my whole body. Bulma spoke with a fearful look but went forward and climbed up anyway. Raditz began closing his fist, and held her as Vegeta held Goku. The difference was he wasn't crushing her, it was only a snug hold. He had built up a good control over his body because of the animals in the jungle. Hey Raditz, put me on your shoulder, said Bulma as she found a good spot on the gigantic body. She was pretty happy while riding Raditz, even if it was not the way she intended. You good? Asked the great ape Raditz as Bulma held onto his neck and sat on his shoulders. Bulma fixed her hair which was blowing by the wind and smiled. Raditz took that as yes and he too smiled kindly. Good, now that you are settled in, let's begin, Bulma asked with a confused expression. Begin Wayayat. That was the last thing Rashi heard before the great ape flew up at mind-boggling speeds. Looking towards the sky, he sensed Raditz was roaming around the vicinity, so he took this time to gauge Raditz's skill level. If he was to teach, he would teach the best he can. Meanwhile Bulma was yelling her heart out. Yaa, Raditz? Ha 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 ha, what's the matter? Didn't you want to ride an Uzuru? Take the full experience? Bulma clutched his neck for dear life, but even though she was yelling out loud, she was having a lot of fun. She rarely had adventures like this anymore, but that was no reason for Raditz to scare her. Hey, at least warn me before you take off, yelled Bulma, and Raditz laughed louder, totally not keeping that in mind. Bulma understood that as well, so she sighed and shook her head. You are such a handful. Fixing her hairstyle to keep it semi-okay, she again kept a snug hold on Raditz's neck. This time with only one hand, as she understood she was pretty much safe and sound. Looking towards the massive house-sized beast head, with none of the beastly aura, Bulma smiled slightly. And so did Raditz, both reading each other's thoughts in their own way. Slowly but surely, an understanding was beginning to emerge between the two. So that's what's going on, thought Raditz. He understood the current situation from Bulma's thoughts. Bulma was single for quite a while now. After Yamcha was cured, he wanted to have at least some knowledge about dating before he completely committed to Bulma. So he paid an actress to practice run with him, but Bulma saw that and considered it cheating. They quarreled and broke up shortly afterwards. Bulma found out the truth later, but by then Yamcha had already started dating other people. He moved on. So she gave up as well. Their relationship ended before it could even begin properly. These two couldn't even go on a few dates before Yamcha was out training again. Maybe that's why she made Vegeta a training room in her house later, chuckled Raditz, which caused Bulma to look at him confused. He ignored that and prepared for one final lap before his landing. The master had seen enough. It was time he gave him some pointers, especially on how to go about a carry without losing his tail. Raditz really wanted to know that. That was the only thing stopping him from becoming the mortal version of Super Saiyan God right now. Chapter 18 Rashi vs Raditz. Raditz flew down before Rashi's eyes. His landing caused the wind to blow sand around the island. The great ape then slowly began shrinking with Bulma still on his shoulder. Growl. As he shrunk back down to his human size, she went from sitting on his shoulder to landing while having her arms around his neck. It was a completely smooth transition. Rashi gave it a 10/10. Clearing his throat, Rashi spoke slowly. Ready Raditz? I am going to attack. Raditz also got ready and powered down to 140, a single digit above Rashi. It wouldn't be much of a technique honing fight if he just one-shots through sheer power. Rashi didn't speak anymore and swiftly closed the gap between them. Raditz easily ducked down. He was not attempting to hit Rashi at all, he was doing exactly what his goal was. Practicing instinctual response, Raditz had it all, the basics, techniques, Rashi's 300+ years of fighting experience. And most important of all, his Saiyan heritage. He was built to fight, be it tenacity or power, he had everything. The warrior instincts played a massive role for Goku too. This was one of core reasons he mastered Ultra Instinct so quickly. Raditz's new Ultra Instinct wasn't a joke. Forget mortals, even gods and angels took eons to attempt it. Even after that, gods did not fully understand how it worked. Even Whis was shown to mess up and step on shit. Again dodging a well-placed punch, Raditz's arm instinctively moved and hit Rashi back. Bem. Rashi skid backwards from the blow, but immediately regained his balance and lunged back in. I think I am getting the hang of this, thought Raditz. He was going through exactly what Goku had, but in his own special way. A combination of experience, correct teaching, and most of all his inherent nature as a warrior race was accelerating his progress. Just like Goku, he would have it down pat soon. It wasn't easy, but it would take nowhere near the eons gods usually took. But Raditz was taken off guard as Rashi bulked up mid-lunge, his power going up with it. Boom. And this cost Raditz his balance as he was punched up by Rashi's bulky body. Kamehameha. Hearing the iconic chant from the original creator of the attack, Raditz immediately rolled mid-air and put his hands before him. Hey. Ugh. Raditz's body wasn't able to take the attack at his 140 strength as he was flung upwards. Rashi in his buff form was 210 on top of that Kamehameha hits above its base level, just like the special beam cannon. Ignoring instincts, Raditz had to use his mind again to move out of the way and fall back down. He huffed slightly, and the master put his hands behind his back. First lesson, don't fight instinctively until you have fought so many battles that you can fight in your sleep. Rashi immediately demonstrated as he fell asleep right after he spoke. Slowly he started snoring as well. Raditz raised his eyebrows at the spectacle. But he still understood what the master wanted him to do. Keeping his power at 140, Raditz lunged at Rashi. Asterisk whoosh asterisk. And his eyes narrowed as the sleeping Rashi ducked down, and immediately in one single motion kicked up. Asterisk bang asterisk. Raditz countered that and started throwing punches again and again. Each attack Rashi countered with one of his own. He's doing all this while asleep? The old man is something alright, thought Bulma as she watched the battle from the terrace of Kame House. But Raditz knew the situation better. This state was not that easy to maintain. Asterisk thump asterisk. And there it was. Rashi was hit on his ribs and immediately woke up as he fell down. Ah, that stings. I still can't do it right, said the master as he rubbed his chest and got up with a slight effort. Fixing his sunglasses, he told Raditz seriously. See, this is the level you have to reach. I can see you have copied my experience, but that alone won't do. You need to make it your own. Raditz thoughtfully nodded. The master was incredible. At equal power levels, not many people in the universe could match him. Even Goku and others only started to overtake him when their power levels grew bigger than him. This was finally shown in full glory when the old man overtook all of his students in skill at the Tournament of Power. I see, master. Raditz agreed, giving Rashi the respect he deserves. He wasn't an arrogant fool who was too proud to ask a master of the arts to teach him. Raditz knew this was as good as it gets before he gains an angel's assistance. Bulma's help would also come as well, boosting his power quite a bit. Should we continue? I have much to learn. Rashi didn't speak and put his hands behind his back again, signaling Raditz to come. Bulma got comfortable on the terrace as well. Raditz smiled and flashed forward once again. He was going to continue this for at least a little while, before he goes off to search for Oolong. Chapter 19 To the lookout asterisk boom asterisk. Stumbling after a synchronized punch, Raditz huffed. Skidding to a stop, he put his hands up in the air. Let's stop for now, I still have some business to attend to, said Raditz as he wiped the sweat off his forehead. Rashi, hearing that, also took back his stance and got into a relaxed posture. Alright, you are improving pretty fast. It's amazing how quickly you are picking this up. Emotion was audible in Rashi's voice as he praised his newest student's talent. Bulma also climbed down from the roof and spoke while walking towards the two. Well, he is Goku's older brother. Goku learnt your Kamehameha by seeing it once, didn't he? Rashi twitched his eyes. Yeah, both brothers were hard to teach. They learn things way too quickly. It's too much pressure for the teacher. Raditz meanwhile was done with his training and powered up to the maximum again. Suppressing his ki all the time will only make him weaker and prone to getting caught off guard. That's your real power? Rashi finally sensed the ki emanating from Raditz as he decided to stop hiding it anymore. Raditz shrugged at that. He was only 2050 right now, nothing too spectacular. He would reach at least Vegetas level before his old partners arrive. I need much more than this if I am to repel my old partners. And old man, I sense a lot of dormant potential in your body. You can get a lot stronger too. Rashi fixed his sunglasses at Raditz's words. He decided to not comment on it. He had figured Goku and his students were strong enough to handle anything, but now this whole deal about aliens and Raditz's words got him thinking. Should I pick up the pace again? It's been years since I had to train. Rashi's silence was taken as a good thing by Raditz, or the master would have straight away denied him. So Raditz decided to not dwell on the topic anymore and let the master think. Shaking his shoulders to get the slight pain out, he asked Rashi, Master Rashi, would you happen to know where I can learn the transformation technique? Bulma walked up to Raditz with her arms behind her and stood right beside him. Looking up at Raditz, she spoke with a questioning tone. What's that? Something like Oolong's technique? Raditz didn't have to speak though, because Rashi did in his stead. That's right, Bulma, there's a technique like that. They teach it in the kindergarten, but Oolong doesn't know the whole thing. You should go to Yamcha for that. Poor knows it. Bulma scrunched up her face at the mention of Yamcha but didn't say anything more. Raditz nodded plainly. Rashi, seeing that Raditz was interested, pointed towards a direction, and said, Korin Tower is that way, that's where Yamcha and the others are at. Poor should be around him as well. Smiling lightly, Raditz nodded to Rashi and looked at Bulma. You coming? While Bulma was a little uninterested to go around Yamcha, Raditz's invitation immediately removed that. Yes, Raditz, I am coming. Bulma, in true Bulma fashion, immediately went ahead and stuck to Raditz, who held her and started to slowly float. But Bulma stopped him as soon as she could. She had enough of flying at the speed of sound for today. Wait. Raditz raised his eyebrows at her and she reached into her pocket, took out a capsule and threw it at the ground. Pomf asterisk. With a whole lot of smoke, a big flying machine was unleashed from the capsule. Showing it to Raditz, Bulma said proudly, I made this from scratch, it can move anywhere, water, earth and air. Raditz became interested at that. Separating from Bulma, he walked up to the contraption. Bang asterisk. Bang asterisk. Knocking on it lightly, Raditz checked the toughness of the material. How do you make it move in space? The material isn't nearly as strong to resist the minimum standard speed of spacecrafts. Looking at Bulma, who looked very confused at his information, Raditz clarified. The minimum standard is set by the Galactic Patrol. It's done to avoid traffic, you see. Machines that are too slow and are still flying through space are fined. Bulma scratched her hair at the new information, and said while twitching her lips, I didn't know that. My sister never told me, and this can't fly through space. I didn't think I ever needed to go there before knowing you exist. Raditz understood why the machine didn't look that sturdy to him. The old Raditz during all his travels had built up a lot of common sense. Knowing which spaceship can fly and not get destroyed in travel was basic stuff. Alright, that's a bummer, but I think I can do something about it. I have my spaceship at the villa, I'll go get it later and modify this puppy. Folding his hands, Raditz looked at Bulma, whose eyes were shining by now. No machine can call itself every area accessible if it can't even travel space. Resisting lava pools and solar flares are the bare minimum standard for me. Bulma immediately jumped up on Raditz, surprising him. She didn't care and hugged him with a big smile. You know how to work with machines? I finally found someone who knows something other than punching stuff? Bulma was over cloud 9, while Raditz was wondering if this was worth getting so pumped up for. While original Raditz wasn't a very tech-savvy guy, he was. This world had a lot of new tech, but Capsule Corporation also had a lot of very good how-to guides. Sure, he won't be building time machines anytime soon, but he didn't need to either. He now had Bulma on his side. I am no expert, but I know a few things. You pick up this stuff as you live my kind of life. Raditz seriously said while pointing towards the flying machine. Shall we go? I have an interview tomorrow. It's kind of important for my career. I need to get this done as soon as possible. Bulma backed away from Raditz and smiled. Opening the door to her machine, she sat in the driver's seat. Raditz didn't care. It wasn't his machine, and even if Bulma somehow messes up, he could fly, so he too walked up to the co-pilot seat. Asterisk thump asterisk. Closing the doors, Bulma and Raditz bid farewell to Rashi and the machine took off. Asterisk fooish asterisk. Watching the machine flying away, Rashi rubbed his head. Looks like it's only me and you, turtle. Bulma found someone too. Walking towards his house, he wondered if he should look for launch again. She left searching for Tyne a while ago and didn't return yet. Chapter 20 Confrontation. The current Z fighters were training hard on the lookout. A thin atmosphere was forcing them to adapt, helping them retain their energy better. Meanwhile, Krillin was also training hard in a different direction. His new technique Destructo Disc was almost done. The only thing left was a target to test this on. Hey, anyone up for a spar? Said Yamcha as he was feeling bored doing one-finger push-ups. This was his 1000th one and he was just about done. Contrary to what Yamcha thought would happen, it wasn't Krillin who took the chance, it was Tien. Let's go, said Tien as he opened his eyes, all three, and stopped his meditation. Jitsu, who was also training at another spot, came flying towards Tien and both walked up to Yamcha. Now that's what I am talking about. Alright, let's go. Punching his open palm, Yamcha grinned. Krillin also walked up to the gang by now. Scratching his head, he exclaimed with a disappointed tone. Hey, I wanted to call dibs. I had a new technique planned and everything. Yamcha smiled and was about to say they can fight after he takes down Tien and Jitsu, but another faraway voice cut him off. Why don't you try this new technique on me, bald man? The Z fighters were startled. This was a completely new voice, and what was it doing on the lookout? They quickly turned towards the spot where the voice came from, but they could neither sense nor see anyone. But nobody let their guard down, as they were beginning to make out something. It was emerging from beyond the edge of the floating lookout. Isn't that voice Oshii? Krillin gulped as he recognized the voice almost immediately, and the head full of spiky hair that was now emerging from beneath was confirming his fears. You know this guy, Krillin? Asked Yamcha as now by now Raditz's full head had come into view. The man was floating upwards, making his way to the lookout. Wasn't flying directly to the lookout impossible? Tien, Yamcha, and Jitsu didn't have to think long though, as Raditz had by now risen enough that they could see a crucial thing. A tail? The Xians are here. Tien spoke heavily as he narrowed his eyes and got into stance quickly. Even if he couldn't sense the man in front of him, he was a Xian nonetheless. Get ready, Jitsu. Yes, Tien. Jitsu's single hair was beginning to float upwards as his psychic energy was activated. Yamcha took his stance, the fabled wolf fang fist, and Krillin was doing the same while trembling internally. He was trying not to think about the tail smack he had received earlier. But all their tensed emotions were dashed by a yell all too familiar to them. Hey guys, Bullet and Bulma! Exclaimed Yamcha as he by now noticed what was below Raditz's feet, a flying machine. Raditz didn't fly up here, no, he was standing on a machine and floating upwards, very much like an elevator. No way, what's Bulma doing here? Said Krillin, wondering if he should slip away and ask Kami for help. If Goku's brother had Bulma around, they wouldn't be able to attack. That's rude, Baldy. No, not you, Three Eyes, the short one. No, not you either, you have one hair. You noticed? Thanks? Jitsu's random exclamation had everyone's sweat drop, while Raditz twitched his eyes. Like I was saying, Baldy, the previous beatdown wasn't enough for you, huh? Hey, it was totally enough? Krillin's protest had Raditz's lips warp into a smirk. He folded his arms and jumped, landing directly at the lookout, touching down gracefully. Asterisk fush asterisk. Now relieved of the additional weight, Bulma swiftly maneuvered the plane and parked beside Raditz. Opening the door, she came out with a smile and stood with Raditz while waving. Tien narrowed all of his eyes at the display and asked what everyone wanted to know. What's going on here? Is he not a Xian? Raditz slowly raised his eyebrows at the rude question, and at the same time everyone shuddered, because Raditz was powering up. No way. Yamcha stumbled backwards, as the sheer intensity of the energy scared him. Oh man. Krillin was slightly better but also really not looking forward to a fight he knew he would lose terribly. Thankfully Raditz's words let the atmosphere cool down a little. Triclops, I am indeed Isyan, your Goku's brother, name is Raditz. Smirking haughtily Raditz spoke, and Bulma backed him up right after. What are you all worried about? Raditz is with me? Relax Krillin. Grabbing Raditz's arm to emphasize her point, Bulma helped calm down the atmosphere a little more. Krillin shakingly smiled as he wondered how Bulma gets herself into these situations, but Tien wondered about a completely different thing. Wait, what do you mean by Triclops? Raditz looked at him with scrutiny and nodded to himself after a few seconds. It's what your species is called, the Triclops, but they are now extinct. Only few remain. I didn't think I would find one here. Krillin rubbed his head as he looked at Tien and Raditz. Man, what is happening? First Goku was an alien and now Tien. What's next? I am one too. Raditz looked at each one of the people present and answered seriously. No, except that name Kian before, I have come across only brother and the Triclops here, rest of you are all Earthlings. Jitsu was a bit confused though, so he floated towards Raditz and stopped before him. But Tien was born here. I was with him since childhood. Raditz shrugged. Don't know what to tell you, he could be a hybrid then, all I am saying is he is a Triclops, I would know, it was us who wiped out his species after all. Tien's eyes went wide as he clenched his fist at the information, while Bulma put her hand on her mouth. No way. Krillin trembled as he said shakingly. Seriously. Raditz meanwhile only humped, sensing Tien's unstable mood. He spoke dryly to calm down the man. Your intentions are too obvious, calm yourself, you can't defeat me. Tien gritted his teeth at the blatant disrespect he was receiving, and was almost about to initiate an attack. But Raditz once again dropped a bombshell. If you want to get technical, it was the Frieza force that ordered your planet's extinction. We simply carried out our orders. Taking a deep breath, Tien stopped his thoughts. There was obviously more to it than meets the eye. Tell me about the Triclops. While Tien wasn't one to dwell over something like distant past, and majority of his anger was at being underestimated as a warrior, he was still somewhat interested to know his origins. Half-breed or not. Alright, I suppose it's the least I could do. Come on, it's obvious you lot have a lot on your minds. I might as well answer all your space-related questions, and while I am at it, can you guys call someone named Poor? Looking at Yamcha, who was taken aback, Raditz clarified. I was informed by Master Roshi that I find Poor here. Master Roshi? Well, I guess I'll call Poor for ya. Yamcha rubbed his hair as he went away from the gang. If Master Roshi said so, it should be important enough, and Yamcha had some questions of his own too. So he would return as quickly as he could, or the gang would start without him.